This is a special presentation of the Sim Racing Channel. Real racing, virtually.
Welcome everybody to Turn Down for What's pre-race show tonight at Phoenix Speedway. We've got a good amount of laps running tonight for the practice so far. I think some guys have run 46 laps already. So we're looking to get the show on the road here shortly. We got the points coming up. I've got a look at the current point standings, and that's Kyle Taub leading all drivers with 306 points with 0 wins this season. But he's got a couple guys nipping at his heels here. Jose Ruiz with 1 win automatically into the playoffs with that win, sitting at 298 points, so only 8 points back from our points leader, Kyle Taub. Zach Merritt is sitting there with 2 wins. He's got 288 points, so he's sitting just a little further back than Jose Ruiz. Then you got Ryan McCall, who's moved up into 261 points, tied with Byron Jones. Both of those drivers do not have wins for 4th. Chris Murphy sitting 6th with 260, so 1 point back from those guys. Pretty good battle going on between 4th, 5th, and 6th right there. Nate Lehman sitting 7th in the points with 248 points. Pacey Wygant with his win last week puts him in 8th with his win with 242 points. He's automatically locked into the playoffs as well. Tyler Dohar with 2 wins automatically locked into the playoffs, sitting there with 242 points. And he missed last week, so he is on the verge of possibly not being qualified for the playoffs due to misses, but I don't know what the ruling is on that one. Sitting in 10th in points, still Josh Arnold, who is not in the field tonight at 239 points, 3 back from Tyler Dohar. He does not have a win as well, missed last week. Cole Snyder sitting there in 12th, along with Hunter Peach, tied with 227 points each. Braden Holt sitting there in 13th with 211 points. John Osborne and Joshua Roberts wrapping up our top 15. So there's a lot of drivers hunting for that top 10 spot. You got to be in the top 10 or top 12 or top 10, I can't remember, to be able to go to the playoffs. Win and you're in automatically. So we've got already 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different winners this season throughout the season so far, and we'll catch to see if we got another one tonight or if we have another repeat winner. Going through some different things here, I'm not seeing a whole lot of difference here in the track stuff. It is Phoenix. They're at night. Cars are probably going to be more tight than usual. I have heard a couple guys saying that they were a little loose on entry, but then it tightens up through the center, and then they can stick to the pedal coming off the corner, which is what you really want here at Phoenix. You do not want to be loose coming off the corners. These cars really snap on them whenever they just get super loose like that. Trying to figure out. All right, let's go grab one of the drivers here. We'll talk to maybe our last week's winner, Pacey Wygant, real quick and see what his feeling is about tonight's race at Phoenix. Pacey, you got a copy of this? What's up in the booth? Pacey, you got a copy?
Is it working?
All right, we got you now.
Hey, hi, how you doing?
All right, bud. Last week you got your first win here. Was a very, very good race. You come away with the win. Now you're set into the playoffs. Don't have to worry about those pesky points. But are you still going to try to go for the overall points lead? I know you're sitting back a little further in the points. I think you're back in about 12th, or no, you're back in 8th right now. A good amount of points, but you do have 2 races left. Are you going to try to go for the regular season points lead, or are you just going to focus on the races that are in the playoffs?
There is absolutely no chance of me again. The overall uh point standings or whatever. So I'm just here for fun now. Like honestly, I'm taking these next 2 weeks. It's just fun races.
Isn't that kind of a good mindset to be in? Just that little bit of relief that you get going into a race, knowing you're already locked into the playoffs. That's got to give you some sort of sense of, just kind of go out and have fun. And sometimes that actually is a huge benefit to drivers because they're not in their heads, thinking, I got a point, I got to get a win, I got to get a stage win, something to help myself get towards those points to get into the playoffs. But you've already got the win. So is that a huge benefit in your mind?
Oh yeah, by far. I mean, I'm stress free these next 2 races. Heck, I could miss one of the races and I'd be fine. So like, I'm a-okay. There is no stress, nothing. It is good to go. Heck,
All
just
right, well.
gotta live life when you got it. Life's too short. You
Well,
just
it's
gotta
easy
have
when
fun.
you have a win. I'll say that. So, but I'm going to wish you luck in tonight's Phoenix race. It seems to be a pretty difficult track for a lot of people when they come to Phoenix. I used to hate Phoenix, but I actually ran the next gens here in an official lobby a couple weeks before the season started here, and I actually fell in love with the track in the next gen car for some reason. I don't like the next gen car in most tracks, but for some reason at Phoenix, I just really enjoyed driving it, and I wound up bringing it home third in that official race. So it was actually kind of cool to do that. But good luck at this track. We'll see what you can do, and go out there and have fun.
Will do.
All right, good luck.
Peace.
All right, Mr. Dohar, we got you up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah.
All right, bud. You were on a bit of a streak here and turned down for what? You had won, I think, like 5 straight weeks or something like that between the 2 different series. Then last week, you come up just a little bit short with Pacey pulling off the win last week. Going into Phoenix, just trying to get your, I guess, ballpark feeling of how you're planning to run this track tonight.
Well, we pulled up short because we didn't make it to the track last week. Had a personal thing come up kind of last minute, but we really had a good run too on Sunday at the truck series, and just got involved in an unfortunate accident at the end of the race there. But I feel like we got a really good car. I laid down a really, really solid qualifying lap, I felt like, in practice. So we're about to go out here and kind of, see what we can do. It's going to be about how I hit the second lap because the car's so loose on the first, but I can't really sustain that pace. So I got to try to figure out, what I can do to save tires a little bit, but still keep some speed because a lot of these guys are going to be really quick here. It's a short track, so a lot of these guys are going to be really strong, and we just got to come out, be disciplined, hit our marks, as many times as we can, every time that we can, and that's going to kind of be the best way to ensure that we have a good finish at the end and get some extra playoff points for the playoffs.
So I asked Pacey this, and I'm going to guess it's going to be the same answer for you. You've already got 2 wins. You're locked into the playoffs. Does that give you a sense of relief and maybe a different mindset going into these races where you can have a little more fun? You're not focused on maybe getting the extra points. I know you talked about playoff points and things like that, but does it really, take it off of your shoulders as far as thinking ahead?
Not really, because I really have to be focused on getting the playoff points because the tracks in the playoffs, Swats just are not strong tracks for us. But Kansas, the last race, is a strong track for me. So I really just got to get the points so we can make sure that we're in the dance because that's going to be our only chance to, do well and actually fight and contend for the championship.
I mean, I would think Talladega would be a track for you.
Yeah, but you're fighting the numbers game there,
Oh, yeah,
so
that's true. But
we're just you're kind of out for lunch.
well, you got to link up with different people. But I mean, you and I watched a next gen race at Talladega a few weeks ago. You went out the next week for Shake and Bake at Talladega, I believe. So you've got major skill on a lot of different tracks. So I would think Talladega would just be a track where you could be up front. I've seen you at the Sim Racing Channel race that they had in the Truck Series there. You did well there as well before I think you got slammed by a couple trucks, but you were doing well. So I would think that would be a track. Charlotte's kind of a iffy track for most people. They're either good at it or they're bad at it. But Kansas, I agree with you. It's one of my favorite tracks on this thing. Actually, it's one of my favorite tracks, period, from console to iRacing. So I think if you can make it through Montreal, I don't know what's going to go on with Montreal. I don't even know if we're keeping Montreal on the schedule. There's been talks of switching it out, so maybe we'll swap it to a different track or something, or maybe leave it. But good luck on this race, and we'll see if we can catch you in victory lane at the end of the night.
All right, let's go for it. I'll see you.
All right, we're going to throw the national anthem here, and we'll come right back for the gridding. All right, everybody, welcome back to Phoenix, and we're getting ready to go into gridding as it's coming up now, and we're going to look at the grid here and see who got the pole, and it is going to be, ooh, I am on the wrong page. There we go. Cole Snyder gets the pole tonight in the 24 machine for Kodog Racing. Kyle Taub going to be sitting in second in the outside row. Brad Rivers returning to turn down for what going to be on the inside row in third. Tyler Johar, who we just spoke to earlier about his chances of winning tonight, he's going to be starting fourth. Jose Ruiz with his win already locked into the playoffs, looking for some fun and some extra playoff points, sitting fifth. Ryan McCall starting sixth tonight. Nate Lehman starting seventh. Byron Jones and his two-car going to start off 8th tonight. Chris Murphy 9th, and Jeff Jones going to be starting 10th, Pete.
Yeah, then we got Mike York in his number 8, starting P11 to round out row number 6. Is going to be Gary Huffins in 12th. P13 is going to be Zach Meredith with Mike Allen, Jeff Lednam, and Josh Roberts, while John Osborne and Hunter Peach round out row number 9. Row 10, Mike Campbell, the third, and Pacey Wyja, kind of keeping an eye on him in qualifying, having a little bit of an issue in that 00. And then to round out the field, 21st and 22nd, going to be Elric George and Mike Papa Bear Campbell.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited to see what happens here, Pete. I've grown to like Phoenix now with the next gen cars. It's probably one of the few tracks that I actually like the next gen car at. It's just a completely different feel than what I remember it being for console. But we're going to get underway here and go green, and they are screaming down that front weird little dog leg. Not a whole lot of guys dropping down to the bottom of the dog leg, Pete. That's kind of surprising. Normally, you see everybody bailing down there as soon as they can get past that pit wall.
Yeah, I gotta agree. That is actually kind of weird. I don't know if maybe Pop Bear made a rule for the night saying you could not cut the dog leg on the first lap or not. We'll have to see what happens here as they go ahead to complete one lap. So far, Cole Snyder, he's got the entire field in tow. And, yep, there we go. Starting to see if you guys go ahead and go on down there.
Whoa,
try to make
Jose
up some time.
Ruiz really loose coming off that, trying to get on the dog leg. Looks like he got midway on his car, and it kind of kicked sideways on him. He was able to save it, but he's going to fall all the way back to 20th place, 21st now. He's going to lose 16 spots just on the first lap and a half.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a story all night long. I was kind of in and out of practice a little bit, kind of keeping an eye on some things as much as I could while taking care of a couple things here. But I watched a lot of people really get loose and pound the inside wall, pound the outside wall. If you come off of one of these corners and you don't see the guy in the middle of the straightaway blocking it, sometimes there's no time to whoa up or slow up what you're piloting, and you kind of T-bone them or slam right into them. I saw a lot of linkages busted during practice.
Yeah, a lot of guys were talking about it being tight, but I was also hearing a lot of cars saying loose. So kind of odd that maybe half the field is tight on entry. Some of the cars are loose on entry. Me, preferably, I would rather be loose on entry, loose in the corner, and then tight coming off the corner. I'd rather kind of dime in the corner and then get that straight shot off the corner to go straight down through, and I don't care if it's tight or not. I just don't want to be loose coming off these corners, because these next-gen cars are very, very tricky to hold on to. If they start getting loose and you start getting turned a little bit, these low-profile tires do not catch like they used to on the old ones, where you could kind of, steer the opposite direction like you would if you were drifting a car, and it would kind of come back to you. With these low-profile tires, when it catches, it slings you in the direction that you were aiming, whether you're just trying to correct the car or you're shaking the car, whatever it is, it slings you in that direction, and it's a quick snap, Pete.
Oh, yeah, it is a very quick snap, and usually you end up in that outside wall, and you're talking minutes of repair, not seconds. And you might even end up with that big old meatball flag where you've got absolutely no choice in staying out, hoping for another caution if you didn't bring it out. But this pretty good battle up here. Saw Kyle Taub get on up there and lead a lap or two. Cole Snyder's back in the lead. Brad Rivers in that number 15 Raise Energy G-Pop machine, now sitting at P number 2. Tyler Dohar P4 right where he started, and Ryan McCall up one spot sitting P number 5. As far as wanting to be loose in these corners, I don't know if I would actually go with that, Kurt, just because these corners are so long. If you're having to wheel and deal a car all the way through, having to jerk the wheel back to the right in order to try to catch it, you might have a little bit of a problem.
Well, what I'm talking about is I would rather be loose into the corner and then maybe loose midway, and then it tighten, because I'm usually off the pedal a lot at Phoenix, and for me that helps me turn the car. So when I get back into the gas, I'd rather it be tight than loose off the corner, because I'd rather have that tightness and having to fight the car from going to the wall than having to fight the car and be off the gas pedal even more coming out of the corner trying to catch that looseness of a car. So I would rather be loose on entry, loose in the mid, and then tight the rest of the corner, not loose all the way through, because that's a nightmare to try to be off the pedal, stab that pedal a little bit, just try to keep it in and try to keep this car under you, because like we said, it's very hard to keep this car under you when it starts getting loose. It snaps on you, or if there's no catching it, it just starts sliding, and then even when you get on the brakes, it just wants to continue going that direction.
Yeah, talk about sliding. I mean, if you're sliding this thing, you're wearing out that right front. And at a place like this, with the corners the way they are, you're going to end up, riding off the right rear quite a bit. But as far as being loose, I mean, if we're talking about at first, to where the car kind of becomes a bit neutral, too tight. So maybe, right in between the two. If you can find that happy medium, off of brake bias, or maybe off of your pinion or something like that, man, you're going to have an amazing ride here. And so far, Cole Snyder seems pretty happy with that 24. He might have found that happy medium. We'll have to see what happens in the long run spots. We're only 11 laps in.
Yeah, I accidentally, a long time ago, logged in and joined what I thought was just a regular official race, but it was actually, somehow I got logged into a Road to Pro race, and it was like 300 laps at Phoenix. And there was a lot of cars that, I mean, they crashed out. I stayed in the back and just kind of hung around waiting because I was like, oh, crap, I'm in this race and I don't want to, quit it. So I'll try to finish it, but I'm just going to hang out in the back and wait for guys to crash out. And I wound up bringing it home third in that race. But,
wow.
it was insane because the guy that finished behind me, he actually hit me up on Facebook on iRacing page because I had posted in there and was like, wow, first Road to Pro race I ever did on accident. And I brought it home third. And the guy behind me, I guess, saw it in the post and was like, yeah, that was one crazy race. It was great racing with you. And I was like, I didn't even know somebody was in there. But, yeah, he hit me up on Facebook on the iRacing page and was like, yeah, it was an insane race. But he and I pretty much just stayed in the back and rode around. I mean, there was like, I don't know, 25 crashes or 25 cautions in that race. It was insane and stupid as far as driving for a lot of people. They must have thought it was just a regular official race too. But yeah, once I realized it was a Road to Pro race, I was like, I shouldn't even be in here. I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm probably racing against guys that are way above my skill level, so I'm just going to ride around the back, and if I finish a couple laps down, I'm okay with that. But it just kept happening and happening and happening for cautions, and I wound up bringing home third. So it was a entertaining race for sure, and a very long race because I was not expecting it to be that long. I expected it to be like a 50-lap, 70-lap race, and it wound up being 300. So, but yeah, it was fun. I learned a lot about Phoenix. Like I said, I never really liked Phoenix before. I just never could figure it out. But riding around in these next gens for 300 laps, you'll figure out some little things here and there. And I was even telling some of the guys down in the KS Gaming chat before we started the show tonight that I kind of found I would stay in fourth gear a lot the entire way around this track, and I would kind of float to fifth gear if I wanted to conserve a little bit of fuel, and then go into the corners, be off the gas, and then shift down to fourth to help turn the car coming out of the corner rather than it being loose. So they seemed to take to that, and then Dohar, he was complaining the whole time I was in there, saying he was dog crap for this track. And right before practice ended, after I had talked to them in that chat and went into here and started the show, he found something because right before or during qualifying, I brought him up just to talk to him about his multi-win streak that he was on and turned down for what. And he said that he found something right there at the end of practice, and he qualified fourth. So must have did something.
Yeah,
right.
well, he's found a little bit more than a line around Phoenix. The man's picked up a brand new set of equipment for racing, and he's absolutely loving it. I think he's got one of those brand new direct drives, and his performance has absolutely picked up, whether it's in turn down for what, or if it's over in shake and bake, or wherever it is. He's done, a great job. He won just last week, I want to say, and locked his way in to the round of 8. I think it was, I forget where it was. It might have been Dega.
I know you guys had a Talladega race here.
Yeah, I think it was the Glen Dega. I think it was the Glen Dega and then Kansas, if I'm not mistaken. So I think it might have been Dega, but I could also be wrong. All these weeks and these races really starting to blend into one another. But talking about Dohar right now, he's sitting P3 up one spot, and he's all over the back end of that 15 of Brad Rivers.
Yeah, I'm trying to take a look at the standings right now to see if we have any big movers. And I'm really not seeing a whole lot through the top 8, really. They're all kind of staying right where they were at. Obviously, Jose Ruiz fell out of the top 10, so that's one spot there. Zach Meredith, though, is our biggest mover right now, and he is up 7 spots. He's up to 9th, so we'll see if he can come up through the field. We've got Ambi Baby out in chat rooting on the 11. So we'll pull up the 11 right now to see where Mr. Mike Campbell III is at here, and he is back in 19th right now, just kind of riding, kind of what I've did in that Road to Pro race. I just kind of rode around and waited for things to happen. I know we've got a weird stage set tonight. It's and again, I forgot to talk to Griff when I saw him at Bristol last week, but it's kind of weird. I'm pulling it up right now to make sure I'm right here. I think the first stage is only 30 laps, so we're getting ready to come up to that right now. The second stage is 40 laps, and then third stage is 110 laps. They do have that 6 sets of tires, so we're coming up on the end of stage 1 here in about 7 laps, as it'll be the end of lap 30 before they throw that caution out there. But that gives you a good sense as far as stage 2. So Mike out here kind of just rolling around, trying to figure out the track maybe. He wasn't super fast or nothing in practice, so I think he's just trying to get a handle on this thing. Like I said, it took me like 300 laps to figure it out. So I don't think we have 300 tonight, though, Pete. We have 180, so he's going to have to pick it up a little bit quicker than I did.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it all works out for the 11. Usually he's very, very patient, and he's learned a lot from his dad. So I'm hoping as the night goes on, he'll be able to pick up some spots, gain some points, and do pretty well.
Yeah, Pete, we have one more race after this, I believe, before we start the playoffs. So these guys that don't have the points or don't have the wins, they've got tonight and next week at Vegas to get into the playoffs. And then we've got that 4-race shootout for the playoffs for turn down for what with Charlotte. Not sure what's happening with Montreal, if we're keeping it, if we're swapping it out for a different track. Then we go to that all things can happen track, Talladega. And I was talking to Dohar prior to the race starting here about, what race he was kind of looking forward to, because he's got those 2 wins, so he kind of could take the pressure off of himself of getting in the playoffs, because he's already locked in with that first win, and then he went and got a second win. He said he's more focused on just getting playoff points and things like that to help him to get to Kansas, because he said the first 3 races of the playoffs he's not very good at, which was kind of surprising because Charlotte is a track that really isn't that much different than Las Vegas a whole lot. So and it looks like we got a caution out on track, Pete, and I'm not sure what this one's about. It looks like Nate Lehman may have crashed.
I haven't got any notification as of yet.
I'm gonna pull up Nate Lehman here. We'll take a look to see what happened to him here. All right, so there we go. Oh, Brad Rivers got loose, tagged the wall a little bit, came down the track just a little bit, and clipped the 14 Oreo mobile there. And Nate probably not going to have too much damage, as he barely clipped the wall with the front right fender, and he got barely touched by Brad Rivers in that right rear as well. So probably not going to be too much damage for him here. It is kind of, it's not, a draft kind of style track. It's more of a short track style feel. Kind of D shape, or odd, weird D shape, but
yeah.
So I think he'll be fine. He, last week he had that race where he qualified first. He was the fastest car in practice, fastest car in qualifying, and then had a mishap on pit road where he spun the tires right into the inside wall. Didn't get a whole lot of damage. Had to back up during a green flag stop. Came back out on track and wound up finishing in the top 6 in that race, Pete. So I don't see Nate struggling too much with the damage he's got. I think he's fine, and he'll be able to come back through here.
Man, talk about that entrance down pit road. They were going extremely slow. One car looked like he actually missed the commitment cone, so I'm not quite sure how that's going to play out, whether iRacing will let that car pit or not. But it looks like the 24, Cole Snyder, he decided to stay out, both him and Dohar. Up front, Ryan McCall, P3. Byron Jones stayed out. He's going to move up to P4 in that deuce. And then the 21 of Chris Murphy, it's going to completely shake up the top 5, all except for that. Actually, no, I take that back. Cole Snyder, he did come down. Maybe just a little, maybe just a little late. That's odd.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised more people didn't stay out. With only, 3 laps or 2 laps now before we'll end the stage, I would think anybody who does not have a win or is looking to maybe point their way into the playoffs with as many winners as we have, they would have stayed out here to try to get to the front, maybe to win this stage here, and then pit, because the next stage is 40 laps, which should be a full fuel run. here at Phoenix. So I'm kind of surprised we didn't see more guys stay out. I'm kind of shocked we only see a few here. And actually, I'm seeing almost everybody pitted there.
Alrighty.
So something's off.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It's saying pit
Showing me
on
almost
lap
everybody
27.
pitted.
Yeah, so I'm going to guess maybe going back through that replay, they must have just been in perfect position to come on down pit road. Maybe the pace car picked them up pretty quick, and yeah, no, you're right. So Doar able to come on out, and yeah, look, it's showing everybody pit on lap 27, but it looks like Hunter Peach, he came in on lap 5, so very early pit for Hunter. I don't see him up front, so he must have had a little bit of an issue a little bit further in the back that we didn't catch.
I'm kind of wondering why we're going green here, Pete. The end of the stage is the end of lap 30. We're on the lap 30 right now, so as they come to the finish line, that would be the end of stage 1. So I would have not pitted if that was not the end of the stage.
Maybe the admins decided to go ahead and use that caution right there as a stage break. So we'll see here in a moment whether we go back green and stay green, or we've got a 2-lap shootout to call stage number 1 complete.
Yeah, we got Ferret Man out there saying, all right, he's here, and then he said almost surprised that was even called a caution. I'm not super surprised because it was right in the middle of the corner there, or right in the middle of the backstretch, or whatever you want to call that, backstretch, I guess. But we're underway here. I'm going to call it stage 2, as I'm not sure what was going on there, so I'm just going to call it stage 2 now to start this.
Yes, stage 2. Stage 2.
All right, there we go.
All right, so Pop Bear making the call on the fly. Caution came out right about when the stage 1 would have been complete. So here we go. Looks like Dohar being the control car on that loud pedal first, got a very, very good jump, and he's already got a decent sized lead. Talking about a good second already over Ryan McCall and Kyle Todd. Byron Jones back to P4, and like I said, Chris Murphy P5.
Yeah, Pete, Dohar's kind of pulling away here. I mean, we're going to have 40 laps before this thing is called for the second stage. They should be able to run a full fuel run, I believe, all the way for 40 laps. So I don't think we'll see any pitting here unless we see maybe a caution midway through the stage or something like that, where guys might try to come down or try to grab that extra rubber or something like that. They do have 6 sets, so I would think it's a possibility to be able to do it. But Dohar's going out here kind of with a bad pace, bad meaning good, and kind of laying down some blistering lap times. He's about a 1/10 and a half faster than second place, which is Ryan McCall back there, who's dealing with a couple cars right behind him with Kyle Todd, Byron Jones, and Zach Murphy that are right on his back bumper. I'm almost thinking that maybe Ryan is actually holding them up. It looks like they're all kind of stuck behind him.
Well, it looks like third place, his last lap was a 28:03. Ryan McCall's last lap was 27:79, so just about a second faster, to be 100% honest. And that last lap was 27:80 for McCall, and a 27:85 and an 87 for Todd and Jones. So he's just slightly faster, but right now nobody's keeping up with Dohar. His best lap so far is a 27:68. His last lap was a 27:78. So tenths and hundredths is what it's all boiling down to. But Dohar's got the lead, and he's not going to look back. In fact, Dohar just went purple, running the fastest lap of the race so far at a 27:65, working lap 36.
Yeah, if Dohar comes out and wins this thing, I'm going to claim I helped him on this one because he, like I said, before the race when he was in practice, I jumped down there into the KS Gaming chat, and he was one of the ones I just heard complaining, saying that he was completely dog crap at this track and couldn't figure it out. And then I just gave him a few pointers that I learned in that race, and then all of a sudden he was like, oh, I found something in practice. Whoa, it looks like John Osborne. No, that was Zach Meredith. Just went flying down to the inside lane there, banged it off the inside wall, but he's going to continue down. No caution because he was off track. He's got that patented Bills paint scheme going on, which I will give it to him. The Bills look very, very strong this year. They look very, very good. They look like probably the best team in the NFL right now. Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs only played like 2.5 quarters yesterday before they were taken out of the game because they were up by like 35 points. So I'll give it to them. Bills are looking really, really strong this year. So good luck for the Bills team that he loves and roots for. He was even wearing a Bills hat at the Bristol race this past weekend. I was like, you can't even wear a NASCAR hat. You gotta wear your Bills team.
Yeah, I saw that in picture of all y'all by the "It's Bristol, baby" sign, and then of course when they were all in a row, Q Dog and J Pie and Zach and all those guys, it looked like it was really looked like it was a lot of fun. I was kind of kicking myself for not taking an offer of a pair of tickets to go to Bristol, but man, sometimes when those adulting duties come into play, you just got to do what you got to do. But I will be at the Roval for sure.
Convention.
I will be at the Roval race for sure, and I cannot wait.
Yeah, it was fun going to Bristol. The wife, she got me that package, and she went with me. It was a fun experience. She actually really enjoyed the races, so maybe I've converted her into a NASCAR fan now. We've talked about maybe doing other tracks. I mean, there's so many tracks around us here in North Carolina, and with Wilkesboro and possibly Rockingham coming back in the future here, I mean, it's just going to get even more heavy with NASCAR races. I mean, we've got Martinsville 2 hours away, Richmond 2 hours away, Darlington 3 hours or 3.5 hours, Charlotte 2.5, 3 hours away, Wilkesboro 2.5 hours away, Rockingham as well. So I mean, even Atlanta's only like 6 hours or something. So
yeah,
it's insane the amount of tracks that are surrounding area of North Carolina and these states, and just the amount of tracks we have in North Carolina now with Wilkesboro and Rockingham coming back. I mean, you got 3.
Not only those, you got your typical short tracks. You got Orange County Speedway, which is all over here. You've got South Boston. You've got Wake County. You've got Hickory. I mean, you've got so many big tracks and little tracks and medium size. I mean, there's just so much in and around the Carolinas to go to. I mean, you can go to, like you said, Bristol. I could be there in 5 hours. Atlanta is 7 hours for me. Darlington, like you said, Richmond, Martinsville, Charlotte, anywhere you want to go. That's why they call this, the race hub or race central, because there's just all kinds of stuff around here.
Yeah, I mean, even forgetting a couple there, P, I'm kind of surprised you forgot one of the more infamous short tracks in this area, which actually provides a lot of fights in the crowds and in the field. So Bowman Gray, I mean, it's kind of notorious for fans just hating each other because of who they root for, and guys and girls will fight in the stands for rooting for a driver that they don't like. So and then seeing the drivers themselves, they'll get out of their cars and duke it out right there in the infield. I mean, it's a track I have not been to yet, but I have watched the series that was on TV, and it was very, very entertaining. I wish they would have continued that for a couple more seasons to kind of pick it up. And actually, me and Sarah actually just saw the two brothers. What's his name? Drives the one car that wins all the time, and the other brother's jealous. Dang, I can't think of his name. But I saw their race car hauler here at Sheets and just outside of Andrew. So it was kind of cool seeing their modified cars in the trailers. But yeah, it's so much racing around here. I mean, you got Wake County, you got out in Dunn, they've got one out there. I mean, there's so many different short tracks, racing, dirt tracks, drag strips, go-kart places. I mean, there's so much. And then you look at Charlotte. They've got like 3 or 4 different races a year anyways. I mean, you got the Roval, you got the Charlotte race, you got what used to be the All-Star race there. So, I mean, it's a heavy NASCAR area. And as much as I like seeing the All-Star race in different areas, I kind of wish it would go back to Charlotte. I'm not sure what it's going to look like next year with Wilkesboro. Pete, we drove past that track, and Sarah's like, they're having the race there? Those stands look like they're going to fall apart. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. You're going to pile that many NASCAR fans up on those rusty, kind of falling apart stands? I think they should have probably done what they thought they were going to do, which was tear up the track, have the dirt series, and then maybe, go through and tear down the stands and rebuild the stands and things like that around that track, because I would think safety for OSHA would be throwing a fit right now looking at these stands and stuff that I saw from the road. So, but Pete, Dohar is just dominating this race so far in this second stage. We're up to coming around to lap 50 right now, and he's led every lap in this second stage and looks to be just on fire right now. He's gapped second place, which is Ryan McCall, by almost a second half, and there's a caution, Pete. As I was saying, he's got a gap on the field.
Yeah, Bill's legend, old Zach Meredith, looks like he's going to be a person of interest back there in that machine. So we'll have to see how that played out.
So pulling it up now, you can see his car's already down on the bottom. He comes up the track, tries to go into turn 1 and 2, tries to get close enough to the bottom line here. And he's still there, coming out of the corner onto the backstretch. I don't think I went too far here. Going into the final turn. And I'm not seeing anything. Oh, there we go. All right, so he tried to go up the track just a little bit, and that rear end, like we said, it just turns to ice in certain spots. If you get into the gas a little too early, that rear end just wants to come around on you with the power that these cars are putting down and the weight and the tire profile. It's something you can't do. You can't get in the gas too early in these things because it just wants to come around on you.
Yeah, but I mean, Zach, he's definitely a very hard charger, and he knows how to get around a lot of places, including this track. So if he's having an issue, you know, a lot of people are really having to tiptoe as well. Good job by him really locking that thing down. Hopefully he didn't get too much damage to the left front. He'll be able to spend just a little bit of time on pit road, fix up just a little bit of damage. I don't think he would have gotten the meatball flag out of that, and he can do his best to stay on the lead lap. But it looks like Tyler Dohar on and off pit road able to hold the lead.
Yeah, so we're going to have, 19 laps to go before the end of Stage 2 here. Tyler Dohar leading all the laps in Stage 2 right now. He said he was going to focus on the playoff points. So let me see if I can grab him real quick and see if we can get just a quick little blip by him. All right, Mr. Dohar, we got you pulled up into the booth with myself and Repeat. Do you have a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
You're looking really fast out there for somebody that told me you were dog crap at this track before the end of practice. You must have found something, though, because you qualified 4th, and you are looking very, very strong in the second stage, leading every lap so far. What is it that is maybe helping you towards it? Maybe did somebody give you a little bit of maybe pointers or some hints or anything?
Changed a little bit on my brake master cylinders. I mean, we just need a long green flag run. We kind of had it there, and then I guess 17 just lost it on its own. I don't know. Maybe figured Cole couldn't catch up, but we're doing pretty well right now. I'm feeling good about it. Just need it to go green, man. That's all we need.
So you're not even going to give me my credit. That's nice, Tyler.
Well, I mean, I was in the center already. I just wasn't. Once I changed a couple things on my master cylinder, I had too much rear brake dialed into it. Was my problem. So once I fixed that, that was kind of. I still drove the track the same way. I could finally, be easy on entry instead of unsettled.
Or you've been really doing very, very well between Turn Down for What and the Shake and Bake iRacing Cup Series on Monday nights. What is it that you've found lately with all this new success?
It's on this Fanatec and CSL direct drive wheel, man. It's so much different. I got a lot more feel in the wheel, especially in these next gen cars where it can be a lot harder to feel what the car is giving you. That's definitely helped me. It's also a lot more accurate and kind of real time, I guess. It narrows it down to milliseconds, whereas I felt like with my old Fanatec bases, I was kind of a little bit behind. The sim was a little bit behind what I was doing with input, but I would say that's probably the best thing. And then just, being conscious and trying to learn how to save tires, things like that.
All right, buddy, we're going back green. Good luck. Go get them, and we'll talk to you again soon, I'm sure.
Hey, we'll see you.
All right, Pete, they're rolling into that restart zone in that odd-shaped 3 and 4 with that big old lit up cactus up in the corner. Dohar going to get him through there and gets on the gas, and we are back to being green here for Turn Down for What's Next Gen Series at Phoenix. Race number 8. Race number 9.
Yeah, There you go. Yep. Yeah, Dohar, again, being first on the loud pedal, there is always the advantage there because you could just take off. Nobody's going to know exactly when you're going to mash it. And so far, there he is, Kyle Taub, back to right where he started, back in P2. So he's keeping par. Ryan McCall back to third. Pacey Wygen now up 13 spots in that 00 Ford Mustang GT. And then Chris Murphy, it looks like him and Brad Rivers have displaced Byron Jones. He's back to P7. Cole Snyder in that 24 after being very, very strong in stage number 1. Now back to about 7th or 8th. Nate Lehman and Jeff Ledley going to round out your top 10. Cars are changing spots every so often, but right now, you mentioned it earlier, the biggest mover when we were looking for him is now Pacey Wygen.
Yeah, Pacey up 13 spots from where he started in this race. He started down in 17th, did not have a good qualifying lap, but he did win last week's race and finished second in the Truck Series race on Sunday with UP. So Pacey's kind of been on a roll ever since he got that win last week. And I mean, talking to him previously to the start of the race here, he said, you know, it took so much off of him getting his win and getting into the playoffs automatically with that win that now he's just out here running for fun. He's not really, charging hard or paying attention to points or anything like that. He said he could still pay attention to playoff points just like Dohar did, but it's a huge lift off your shoulders when you don't have to go out there and race your way into these playoffs because you've already got the win to secure yourself in.
Yeah, well, it's funny watching Dohar there come up off the corner, going across the start stripe. You see that right front rocking back and forth, how he's having to saw that wheel just a little bit. So that goes to show me he is getting all the feel that he was just talking about a moment ago in those front tires. And in just a couple of laps, he is already half a second up on Kyle Taub.
Oh, and we got another caution out on track. This one may be involving Gary Huffins, and there he is, spun around on the backstretch here. Gets his car back going here. He's going to try to stay on the lead lap if he can here. But he's back moving, and that's going to bring out our, second incident caution.
Yep, second incident caution besides the stage break. So you said the stages were 30, 40, and then 110, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so it should be end of the 71.
Yeah.
So looking back here at Gary Huffins here, we'll take a look. And I'm just a little too far. He's already starting to spin. So let me back it up just a little bit more and see if he had some help. And it looks like he might have had some help from the 69 in that me machine. So here comes.
I get a kick out of that, dog.
Well, actually, he did get loose prior to the corner, and it doesn't look like the 69, if he did make any contact, really helped the 4 around because he was already going around. I think it just was super close for the 69 as he went around the 4. But I think that was just getting loose coming out of the corner there. And that's what I was talking about, Pete, with these cars, is coming off the corners. It is just like ice. If you are not on the gas at the right time, these cars can definitely get loose on you. And once they start, it's hard to stop them. And even if you can get it corrected, it wants to bite at the wrong time and then snaps you right on the wall.
Yeah, I haven't found anybody, whether you're a 6K iRating guy, a 4K, 3K, whatever. I have not found a single person yet that's been able to control the next-gen car when it snaps on you. Usually you want to steer just slightly in the opposite way that you're sliding, just like you would if you're driving on an icy or a snowy road and you start to feel the back end kick out of you. You steer in the direction of the slide, and then you pull it back when you feel like the car is about ready to slow up, roll up, and you can steer it out of the skid that you're in. These things, they will just snap and go right to that outside wall. Not much anybody's been able to do so far. We'll have to see if iRacing fixes that in the near future. They were supposed to fix it a while back, get these cars lifted up just a little bit. That way that rear diffuser was doing more of the job that it was supposed to do, but not just yet.
Yeah, we've got Shad out there in chat saying, watch what Murphy does during the spin, that it was a close call for him, that it was an incredible save. So There we see the 4. Oh, and the 4 clips the 21. He taps the wall, and that's what straightens him out. I don't know if I call that a save, but yeah, I think that the wall really helped him there. But I mean, that's still some good driving by Murphy. I mean, we've been saying it for a few weeks, Pete, that
Yep,
he's
it's a
really
drive.
turned into a really, really good, skilled, clean driver.
Yeah, Murphy a little bit further in the back right now. I believe he's got about the 3rd or 4th highest I rating in this series, about maybe 4th or 5th, running with about a 26.49 I rating. So yeah, he knows how to get around a lot of places.
Yeah, and Pete, the secret with these next-gen cars, at least what I've found, well, I have not ran them since they did the update here, but as we come off, I'll explain that in just a minute. As we come off into the turn here, we're going to go down that far back stretch, pace cars down pit road. Dohar and Tob going to lead them to the next green flag here as we're still getting ready to complete the end of stage 2 here in about 9 laps, Pete. But as we come through this corner here, you're going to see that restart zone. Dohar is going to get on the gas a little bit before Tob, and that's going to give him the jump. And there it is. He is gone from Tob. He disappears, and that's going to allow Ryan McCall to get side by side with Tob, not allow him to use the dog leg. So McCall's going to be able to shortcut just a little bit. But look at Cole Snyder going 3 wide into turn 1, bails out of it though really smartly, and allows Ryan McCall and Kyle Tob to get through there really clean rather than pushing the issue there, which is a little surprising for Cole. Normally he likes to push the issue, so maybe he's learned something, or maybe he's waiting to get going here.
It's too early to push it. I mean, on the restarts, you got to try to get any bit of real estate that you possibly go. 15 and 24 got collected a little bit. Can they save it? 24 saved it, but couple behind were not so lucky. It looked like it was Byron Jones and Mike Campbell the third. So great save between the 24 and the 15. Not so much for a couple of others. Nowhere to go.
Yeah, and what I was going to explain about these cars, what I've learned previously before this last update, unless it's changed, but the way to save these next-gen cars is not to drive out of it like you would normally think you would on a snowy road, or if you were drifting where you'd be angling the steering wheel the opposite direction of the spin to try to correct it, kind of just floating it a little bit until it wants to come back even. With these things, I keep the wheel perfectly straight. I don't try to correct it. I don't try to turn with it. I don't try to do anything. I just stab the gas pedal over and over, or the brake pedal over and over and over. And as I'm letting off the brake, I just tap the gas real quick and then brake again. Tap the gas real quick and brake again. And it kind of stutters the car to where it slows it down enough to where it'll come out straight. It doesn't, save it in the corner as far as staying on the track. But if you get down to the apron like that and you're sideways and you're doing that repeatedly over and over and over, it won't go all the way into the wall. It'll try to correct straight. That's the only thing I've found with these cars prior to the last update. Now, it may have changed with the last update because apparently they did a few things to these cars, but that was my go-to whenever I started getting turned a little bit on any track, really, that I had some room on the apron to try to do that.
Oh, yeah, I mean, there have been many updates to these cars. I remember back before the B-Water series ran, the American Ethanol series was going to come back, and they were doing a bunch of testing and all that. We ran at Vegas in these cars, and we were wide open, just pack racing. There was no let up, no nothing, and it was just flat out wide open racing, lap after lap after lap. And then they did their updates, and they brought it more to being a bit more realistic. And now these things can be fun, but also very tricky to drive at times too.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't been on my wheel in probably a few months, so I'm not sure what these cars are doing now. But that was my go-to back then, was just kind of stab with the brake, tap the gas just a little bit, stab with the brake, even use 2 feet if I had to do it, and it would correct it for the most part. So I don't know if it's still able to be done, but that's what I would be trying right now to see if it worked. But yeah, that crash right there was a little hard with everything that was going on with Cole and the 48 of Ryan McCall, and then obviously Byron getting collected in that and spinning around up to the top, and then Mike Campbell the third having nowhere to go. Was on the brakes, so he kind of just slid into the 2. It didn't look like that much of a hit, but Pete, I got to mention also Byron's paint scheme tonight. The kid made this paint scheme last week, and it is a really nice paint scheme, in my opinion. I love the black and the orange. I like that he threw the Phoenix skyline on there. It looks really cool the way he built this thing with all the different Arizona teams on it as well. I probably would have left the Coyotes off there because I don't know if I even count them as a team anymore. But yeah, that's what he did. So it looks really cool the way he built this thing.
Yeah, he actually, that car, and he bought I don't want to say bought. He built another car for Vegas, which is absolutely amazing. Can't wait to watch him introduce that car. But he just recently created Jones Paint and Design, Jones P&D on Twitter, and he's got all kinds of things for cars and hero cards and video clips and all kinds of things. Couple of guys from back in the Xbox side, the Under the Lights series. I'm not sure if you remember them or not.
Oh, yeah,
but
I remember the
they've
t-shirt.
they've recently reached out to him, and he's going to be doing a schedule with showing all the different tracks for them as they start back up. Speaking of starting back up, here we go. Green flag's back out, and yeah, we're back green.
Yeah,
back green.
and
Yellow
Dohar's
now.
gone again. And there we go, another caution. So let's see what happened here. It looks like I'm being showed that Zach Meredith may have crashed right before this. So let me check. We back up here, back it up and see if we can find Zach Meredith. What was going on with him? It looks like he might have got into the gas a little too early and spun the tires coming out of the corner there. Yeah, so as he comes through the restart zone, they get on the gas a little bit. He has to brake check. Oh, and he runs right into the back of Jeff Ludnam. And unfortunately for Zach, that turns him right there at the finish line. So he didn't even cross the finish line before he was spinning.
Very unfortunate. And
That's gonna
again,
be big
more
damage for
contact
Jeff,
to
too.
that left. Yeah, more contact to that left front. Again, somewhat slighter than we've seen on some other wrecks, but pace car is going to go ahead and pick up the field, and I would imagine this will be their stage 2 caution.
Yeah, we'll see if Papa Bear jumps in here and lets us know, but I would assume it is too. I mean, we're on lap 70. There's 71 right now, so that would have been the stage right there. So Dohar is going to get a stage win there. Kyle Taub going to be sitting second. That is your regular season points leader without a win. He is up about 9 points, I think, over Jose Ruiz. And Jose does not have a good night so far. He is back in 19th right now, 14 down from where he started. He got in that original incident where he spun down off the track and lost a big, giant amount of positions. And then I think he was involved in a little bit of an incident as well and got some damage because he was on pit road for a while. He's actually 24 laps down. So it looks like we've had a few guys actually. Hunter Peach looks like he may have dropped out of this race. He's 65 laps down, so he was only in this race for 6 laps. Michael York is out as well, 28 laps. Jose Ruiz down 23 laps. Jeff Jones down 12 laps. Gary Huffman's down 10 laps. That was the last guy that spun across there, clipping Chris Murphy. But it looks like they're all, for the most part, back out on the track. I'm trying to see if Hunter's still out here.
Yep, everybody down pit road pulling to the attention of their pit stall. Grab 4 brand new Eagle Feel Goods. Go ahead and fill it up with that Sunoco E15. Work your way on back out. That next time around will be the start of lap 73. And yeah, this second half of the race, once we hit lap 90, this is going to be the long stretch. This is where we're going to have 1 or 2, well, probably maybe even 2 or 3 pit stops. Hopefully they'll be under green, so we get a little bit of separation in the field. See who's got the long run car, short run car, and who's put the time in, put the practice in to get ready for this race here from Phoenix.
Yeah, and I'm noticing there's a huge shuffle up at the front. Chris Murphy's now going to be scored as the leader with Mike Campbell III. Chris Murphy has not pitted in 13 laps. Mike Campbell III, 7 laps. And then you've got Brad Rivers on fresh tires. But it looks like he may have only taken fuel, Pete, because He was only in for 5.2 seconds. That's not a pit stop for 4 tires. And then you've got Cole Snyder and Tyler Doher and Kyle Taub who are going to be sitting there. But, yeah, it's going to be kind of hectic up towards the front. Josh Roberts also going to be sitting there with a 5.4 stop. So that's not a tire stop either. So these guys are going to be on some old tires up at the front in the first 2 rows, but the rest behind them are all going to be on fresh tires. So we're going to see who can make it through this little bit of jumble up at the front, and then see if maybe Chris Murphy can hold on to some position before we see maybe a caution or a green flag stop.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, a lot of people do run, different tire strategies. By only coming down and just topping off, they're leaving a set of tires in the pits for just a little bit later on, where if you just came down and you took a set of tires, you're going to have one less a little bit later in the run. Swats, we have not reached halfway yet. So these guys got a lot to go. Speaking of going, here we go. It's going to be Chris Murphy hard on that throttle, and Mike Campbell III, Brad Rivers, Josh Roberts, and as you just mentioned, Kyle Taub. A few of these guys on fresh tires. Have to see just how fast they're able to catch up with Chris Murphy and the rest.
Yeah, and Chris, he may have used an extra set earlier when he spun off of Gary Huffman. Oh, Kyle Taub's really loose. Saves that. Wow. He just zigzagged across about 3 or 4 cars, and I think somebody else behind him might have locked up the brakes because we've got a caution out on track. But I want to take a look at this, Pete, because it was very, very interesting for Kyle Taub there for a few seconds as he was coming into that corner.
Yeah, it looked like Cole Snyder is going to be a person of interest for this yellow.
All right, so finding Kyle Taub right here to look at him. And as we push the play button, we'll see he gets really wobbly there. He shakes it back and forth, dodging cars, cars zigzagging all over the place. And that's what happened with Cole. Cole tried to avoid him, did not get off the gas pedal, slid down to the inside lane, and just whacked a wall on the outside and gave himself some major damage there. But that all started with Kyle Taub getting loose off of turn 4 or turn 2 and just wiggling and kind of skiing slalom all the way down that backstretch. And cars, I can't believe that many cars missed him down that backstretch. And I mean, Cole did miss it. He just got loose and was way too low.
Just how loose these cars are. Absolutely.
But
Well, Swats, what do you think? What do you say we pay some bills and grab that, get that commercial over with that we were talking about earlier, and come on back, pick up the live action, and kick this thing off for the second half.
I am glad to do that. I can get a drink. So let's go side by side. You won't miss any of the action as they go back green here, and we'll be right back. All right, Pete, we're back here at Phoenix. They are back under green here, and Chris Murphy is still running second right now with Brad Rivers. Sorry, took the lead there on that restart that we were watching on the side-by-side view there. Murphy struggled just a little bit on that restart, but Pacey Wygant has come up through the field, but he is, I believe, a lap down. Or
He's
no,
P5.
he's P5. Okay.
Yeah.
Whoa, and there he goes getting loose. Woo, on the dog leg. You see that thing coming off the track, going down to the apron? Wow.
I did, but your viewers didn't because you're still on a replay, buddy. You might want to bring that back up.
I'm on replay.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, it was a cool save.
Here you go. Not a problem.
I
Not a
don't
problem
know
at
if
all.
I can go and find it or not, but it was pretty cool to see. I mean, he was sideways there coming off, and I'm kind of surprised, but also not surprised with these next-gen cars as low as they sit. Coming down off the banking, they have not raced Phoenix yet, right, in the real cars? Or no, they did earlier. 14 won it. But I don't know. I think iRacing, they need to do some updates. Once the cars go to a track, I think they need to update it. It's just kind of weird that they don't kind of run the way that you saw it on TV. Like, I mean, they were able to go down to that bottom line. They didn't have that many issues like that, but I mean, I remember the drivers were talking about it bottoming out some places, in specific spots if you came off the corner in the wrong spot to go down that dog leg. A lot of guys were taking it real early. I mean, Brad Keselowski is one of the most infamous ones of, as soon as that green flag flies, he goes right past the corner of that pit road exit as they come out of that turn. I mean, he misses it. If it had a mirror on the side of the car, he'd hit it.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And that wall just comes up, and it's almost like the wall at Watkins Glen or the guardrail at Watkins Glen when you're going into the bus stop. You see so many people just barely miss that. Same thing here going into that corner. If like you said, if there was a mirror there, you'd be talking about a little bit of damage. But no, these things are streamlined like a bullet and going wicked fast.
Yeah, and just like a bullet, the slightest breeze can move them in a big direction. So that's a good analogy for these cars being shaped like a bullet. But right now, Brad Rivers has his bullet looking really fast out front. He has got out to about a second lead over Chris Murphy, who has not taken tires in about 28 laps, Pete. So his tire fall off has got to be worse than everybody right behind him, but they're not able to get around him. And that's kind of the thing with Phoenix. Once you get out there and everybody's tires start to equalize a little bit, the fall off isn't too much further. Like, once it starts to fall off, it kind of equals and stays at that level of fall off. It doesn't go any further, really. You just got to deal with it from there on. So now that we've gotten, some laps under these cars, I mean, yeah, we've got 17 laps on their tires for the guys who pitted, but we've had some caution laps in there as well. So Chris has been able to cool his tires off a little bit. He's gotten them going. I have a feeling, though, within 10, 15 laps, though, these guys are going to be all over the back bumper of him, if not trying to move him off that bottom line.
Well, if they'll move him. I mean, this is very much just a one-groove track. I mean, you can fit a couple wide here and there, especially, you could really really get down and dirty on the straightaways. You can go a little wide going through the tri-oval if you get a decent enough run coming off the corner, but you'd have to move someone. But the braking points at a couple places around this track are also very different. So we'll have to see how that pans out. So this clean air, for the most part, that Chris Murphy has on him, I think that's been his saving grace so far. We'll have to see what Ryan McCall and others are able to do with him, though. As you said, once these laps click off, I think track position has been key for this 21.
Oh, absolutely. I think Chris has set himself perfectly. If he came down and grabbed fuel at all, which I don't think he did, I mean, it's going to be 110 laps from the start of the second stage, or from the start of the third stage. To me, that's at least one stop, possibly two. If he can do it right, he could be right on the edge of doing it within two. If everybody else has to do it in two as well, he's just going to be a little bit off strategy from everybody else. But the way that the cars have been getting loose, a few laps into the run here, he may luck out and a caution come out at the perfect time and really put everybody back on the same strategy. And he's got that position, like you said, Pete. And that's, I think, the key at Phoenix is position.
Very much so, because it's very hard to pass. I mean, you see Ryan McCall behind the 21. A couple times he's tried to run deep and ends up completely blowing the corner, and that's allowed Pacey Wygent to pull back up on a 21. 21, he's drifting up just a little bit, maybe trying to diamond it out, or he's abused that right front just a little bit, but Ryan McCall cannot yet pass him. Will he be able to make it happen here in a couple laps? We'll have to see. I don't know if the 21 is purposely leaving just about a half a car width off that yellow line, or if that right front is about gone. Only he knows, and we only get to talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, I personally don't like running down there at the yellow line. I like leaving that half car to even a car and a half up. What you would call the second or third line kind of through this track. I mean, you see the different seams on the track, so you essentially could have 4 different lanes, and I've even seen guys go way down to the apron. I mean, Kyle Busch does it in real life where he looks like he's down up against a wall almost through 1 and 2. And even Shad just put out in there in the chat saying I'd be running higher in turns 1 and 2. That third lane is real good, and I would agree that's where I would be at carrying the momentum, but he seems to be making it work on the bottom, and I don't know if Ryan is comfortable moving up the track like that. It takes a little bit of getting used to when you're up that high because the car just doesn't feel like it wants to turn, but as you float through that corner a little bit, there's like a perfect mark in there. If you downshift from 5th to 4th or 4th to 3rd, depending on what you're running, it like shoots the car left. So it kind of if you time it right, it turns that car perfectly, at least in the way that I was driving this track. And I don't think Ryan's comfortable up higher than that. He's only running about a one lane groove. Well, now he moved up, so he's up into that third groove, what I would call the third line, where he's got the rights right on that top seam.
You got it. So he can really kind of diamond it out, shift, get the nose planted, get back on the throttle, and really start to make up a little bit of time. 21, though, able to still stay in front of him. And look at this. They've been able to run Brad Rivers back down, so much so where they've got his draft now and might even be able to get around. So has Brad Rivers, on that launch now, has he, gotten so tight that he can't get that 15 raised energy machine to turn? What's going on with that 15? Is he going to start falling back, or has his tires just equalized to the 21? Has the 21 really not been pushing it, just trying to keep Ryan McCall behind him? Pacey Wygent looks like he's falling back just a little bit, but something's going on because Brad's losing a lot of time now.
Yeah, the way Brad was going out there pretty hard, he may have hurt that right front. And Murphy, like I said, he's been kind of just easing his way around here. They kind of all let Brad go out there and run as fast as possible, and it looks like that's what is really going to hurt Brad's chances of staying in the lead as Murphy pulls up alongside of him with Ryan McCall right behind him. Brad going to try to take the shortcut through the dog leg, but I don't think he's going to be able to hang on to it more than a couple laps here. If he does lose this position, I think Murphy's going to do it here pretty quickly. He's going to carry the speed off of turns 1 and 2 and take the lead going into 3 and 4. Brad's still hanging there right next to Ryan McCall, but I think Brad's going to start tumbling down the line here. And we've got 81 to go, Pete, and Murphy's run 42 laps on these tires. The rest of the guys right behind him have run 30, so he's got 12-lap older tires, but he's been able to hold these guys off and make the pass on Rivers on the outside as well.
Yeah, around the outside, and I thought for a second, though, that Hardy's car, Ryan McCall, was going to be held back just a little bit. Not so much. He got around the 15 the same way the 21 did and stuck right with Chris Murphy to keep P number 2. And look at this. Here comes Tyler Doar. He's been able to get on by Pacey Wige and a couple of others to pull himself back into P3. Brad Rivers now back to P4 after leading most laps since the restart, and Pacey back to 5th, and Byron Jones back to 6th. So he's starting to work his way back up after that incident earlier where he had nowhere to go, and the leaders get collected.
Yeah, I saw Murphy back off a little bit there, like he was trying to maybe conserve that he was going to be coming down pit road soon. And Ryan went to the outside and got into the gas just a little bit too early before the finish line there, and it started hooking left on him, and he turned right down into what was at that moment the leader with Chris Murphy. So the two leaders battling for that top spot gets collected in this incident here. And as much as I want to say this hurts Murphy, if the damage isn't too bad, this might actually help him because of the tire scenarios.
I almost wonder if that 48 Hardy's machine thought that Murphy was going to go ahead and go down to cut the dog leg, and he was going to want to stay side by side with him so he didn't lose too much time. Murphy looked like he was just going to stay up on track, and yeah, they collected each other.
Yeah, so looking back at it here, where is he at? So getting to Ryan McCall here, he's stuck right behind Chris Murphy going into this corner, and you can see Chris kind of backs it off going low. Or sorry, this is the lap before. So as they come around turns 3 and 4 there across the finish line, they're going to go into 1 and 2, and as they come out of 1 and 2, Murphy looks like he either backs it down or maybe he got out of gas a little early because he was getting loose off of turn 2 here, but I'm not seeing. Oh yeah, he did. All right, so he got loose. That's what started this. He backed up to McCall a little bit. McCall tries to go around the outside. Murphy stays right on that bottom line. And as they come around here, McCall's almost cleared. And as he gets into the gas, he gets loose and comes right down in front of Murphy. If Murphy had taken that dog leg, I think Murphy might have cleared McCall as he spun across the track. But because Murphy was there, it collected both of them.
Well, great job by both to go ahead and lock it down and come back up on track. Not going to lose a lap. Neither one of them pounded either the inside or the outside wall, and they'll be able to continue on with very little time on pit road. 7th caution of the night now being completed. Looks like with all this being said and done, leaders collecting each other, that's going to put Tyler Dohar, Pacey Wygant, and Brad Rivers back into the top 3. Kyle Taub and Byron Jones to round out your top 5. You can see the full lineup there on the left-hand side with your leaderboard. 106 of 180 laps completed. 74 laps remain. Kurt, with all this being said and done, I think we're only going to have one more pit stop for everybody. That will be the money stop.
Yeah, I would think they'd be able to run. I mean, even with the 70% that they normally run, I would guess it would be right around 60 laps. So, I mean, we've got 106 completed. We've got 75 to go. If they could run and split the stage, I don't think they could run the 70 laps or 72 laps, whatever it is, when they go back green here. Now, if you expect more cautions, Pete, you could clutch or turn the car off and conserve fuel. I don't know if you can conserve that much fuel, but if we have multiple cautions, it'll get closer and closer to be able to finish. I just don't know about tires, because at some point here, somebody's going to stay out thinking they can conserve, and somebody behind them is going to start the train down pit road and all come get 4 fresh tires, and that car that stayed out is going to be a sitting duck.
Well, I mean, right now you're on a car that is proven to be capable of that fuel and tire strategy more than once. Talking about that filter time number 78 for Tyler Dohar. Right now he's back up front, breathing very, very happy. The lights atop the pace car are out. We'll have to see who's going to be able to get on up there. Will Pacey be able to time this restart just right? Will 15 go to show that he's got the short run speed and maybe go a tad bit further? Or I mean, who's going to be? Kyle Taub's there. You see Byron Jones. You see the 14. Who's it going to be? Swats, who do you have, by the way, for tonight's race? Are you going with the 78, or you got your eye on somebody else?
I'm not sure. I mean, the 78 I wasn't really sure about, and after hearing him complain as much as he was about this track, and then, he found it right there at the end of practice and qualified well, I would say he's probably the one to watch, but I'm going to say a sneaky pick of maybe Brad Rivers, or hell, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and throw this on there because the last week he said, make sure you pick me next race, because we had picked the winner for the last couple weeks. I'm going to go with the 2-car, Byron Jones, give him his win in his home state, home track, and see if he can go get it done tonight and maybe give him a little extra good luck.
Oh, I would absolutely love to see Byron go on up there and grab a W. That man's been emptying my wallet more often than not anymore. Claiming victories, top 2s, top 3s, leading a ton of laps, having incident-free, races, or I should say incidents that aren't his fault races. Man, ever since he got that brand new computer, it has absolutely stepped up his game.
Definitely agree. Brad Rivers seems to be really fast in the short run, but he's not able to sustain it more than about 30 laps. So if the run is 50 to 60, I feel like Brad's going to fall off. But we've only got 71 laps to go. If he could run 30 laps to 40 laps and then pit, then he would have 30 to go to finish off the race, and that would be in his wheelhouse of a short run. Dohar, Pacey, and a couple others seem to be really good in the long run.
I'll talk about 71. Pop Bear just joined up. Pop Bear, what's happening, sir?
Hey guys, I heard you guys talking about the fuel mileage for the fuel runs, and I just got a little info under green. They are getting 55 to 63.
Okay.
So
yeah.
if that I figured that might give you guys a little info.
I thought it'd be right around 50 to 60 with 70% fuel or whatever you guys run here. So that's about right, what I was thinking. But yeah, thank you for the information. That definitely helps us out with a little bit more, narrowing it down. But I still think if Dohar was able to clutch, he would be able to run a little further. So I didn't hear him clutching, though, Pete. I did go to the cockpit while we were under caution. I didn't even hear him clutching or shutting off the car. Now, Pacey's cars sound quieter than Dohar's did, and we heard him last week say about shutting the car off. So we'll see who was able to conserve a little bit. I think it'll take a few more cautions to help those guys out if they're planning on trying to finish this race off on this single pit stop here. But I have a feeling you're going to have to come down and get tires, because you don't want to be that lone or only a handful of guys up front. Even though we've seen it be really hard to pass, I just fresh rubber with only 10 to 15 laps to go, I would be pitting.
Oh yeah, you're definitely going to want to come on down, and yeah, it will be the money stop where you got to get on pit road as aggressive as possible, get to your pit without speeding, get to your pit stop, have that board fall right on your hood, get a great exit of pit road again without speeding, come all the way around, get to that blend line, come on back out on track. No black flags, and man, you could be sitting pretty depending on how you execute the last half of this stage. So yeah, looking forward to seeing exactly how this all works out. Even as fast as Dohar is, it doesn't necessarily just automatically give him that checkered flag. He's also got to be perfect on and off pit road.
Yeah, we've seen.
Correction, gentlemen.
Yeah, what's up, Papa?
Correction, it's not 55 to 63. It'll be 45 to 50.
Oh, all right. So a little
Okay.
less. All right, so they definitely can't make it 10 without a bunch of cautions coming out.
Not at all.
So we will see that caution come out, the pit stops happen. But Pete, do you split it evenly, or do you run it out of fuel? Because we've seen how hard it is to pass, even on old tires. If somebody comes down midway through this 70 laps here that they were running and gets to 4 fresh tires and the guy stays out, I mean, the fall off hasn't been too terrible. I mean, Tyler's running 13 laps right now, and he's only about 4/10 slower than his best lap.
I'd say no. I would probably say stay out for as long as you can. See if anybody else coming on down pit road makes any kind of a mistake. We just saw what happened with the leaders a moment ago, where you thought maybe Murphy was going to be coming on down pit road. or maybe side. I don't know, but we'll have to see. But I would say you stay out until you feel, or you're seeing not. I'm sorry, till you're not seeing your lap times fall off too much. Once you start seeing the second or the 2 second losses, you come on down pit road for your last stop. Come on out and really go hammer down as much as you can for that second half.
I mean, right now, 15 laps into the run, Tyler Dohar's a half second slower than his fastest lap. So
Yeah.
I would say the fall off is not going to be too terrible. So I would probably run this thing dry, come down. The question would be, do you take tires or do you just do that 5 second pit stop of fuel? Do you save
tires.
6-7 seconds on tires?
Nope. Tires mean way too much at a place like this. I mean,
You're only looking at 15 laps, though, Pete.
Right, but looking at the last restart, I mean, you can gain seconds. He's going to be out here right now. You said he's only fallen off about a half second so far. But that's Tyler Dohar. We saw how much Brad Rivers fell off in his last run after about 25 laps, give or take, which is what most people are probably going to go in this run before coming on down pit road. So that's where you're starting to get into that long run. Tyler Dohar's best lap is 27:53. His last lap was a 28:18. So that's now 0.6, and I think that gap is going to get bigger and bigger. Brad Rivers, his best lap was 27:43. His last lap was a 28:13, also now off 0.6. So it's that time is going to get bigger and bigger. I think once you get to that second mark, where if you fall off and you're only 15 to 16 seconds behind somebody, that's 15 or 16 seconds that you have a chance at making up and possibly making up positions, even if it's not getting to the leader.
All right, how about right sides only, though? Because that's only, what, an 8-9 second stop instead of a 12 to 14 second stop?
You probably could, but then you got a chance if you didn't practice it during the hour-long practice that these guys had to find out if that loosens up your car too much. Do you get too loose? Do you take left sides to where maybe they anchor that car to the inside, or do you take right sides and run a little bit more off that right front and right rear, but then your lefts aren't gripping? So man, that's a huge gamble.
See, the reason I'm questioning it is because Dohar already has 2 wins. He's already locked on the playoffs. He's won stages tonight. He's got the playoff points. He's got the long run car. Brad Rivers has the short run car where he's burning his stuff up after 30 laps. So Brad kind of has to go down that route of 4 tires, fuel stop, whatever he's got to do. Tyler has had the faster car on the long run. Even right now, I mean, he's looking at just shy of a second slower, but he's the fastest car on the track by 0.3 over Brad Rivers. So this is where we're getting to that point of 20-plus laps where Dohar's car stays steady and then Brad's falls off because Tyler wasn't running as hard as Brad was to keep up with Tyler. So that's where I'm like, Tyler could just do fuel. Save 8 seconds. If he's got a second or 2 lead or, a half a lap, 15 laps, even a second faster lap or 2 second faster lap, do they run him down? That's the question. That's where it would be hard. With Dohar having 2 wins, he's already locked in. He can take the bigger risk. Pacey has a win. He could take a bigger risk, and he said he was out here to have fun and try stuff for the future races. So could this be a track that maybe he tries it on? Now, the races in the playoffs are not like Phoenix. We've got Charlotte, Montreal, Talladega, and Kansas. Not very much like Phoenix at all. So
Right.
I don't know how much you're going to learn by doing it at Phoenix to help yourself at those 4 tracks, but I feel like maybe it helps you understand the car and the way, like this would be a chance to go out there and run 2 tires in the full field if you didn't do it in practice. Go ahead and try it. See if it helps. I don't know if it helps you at Kansas. I don't know if it helps you at Charlotte, but it might help you understand the car a little bit more if you've already secured yourself into the playoffs.
I'll tell you what. If I'm Dohar, or if I'm Brad Rivers or Pacey Wygant or Byron Jones or one of these guys that had a pretty good long run before, I'm going to go back. I'm going to take a look at that tire data, see exactly where it was at the end of that run, just before the caution came out. If I'm sitting at 75 and 76 on the rights or something close to that, I'm going to come on out with about 15, 16, maybe 20 laps to go, especially Brad Rivers. We've seen him have huge speed in the very beginning and then start to fall off. But before it was about 20 to 25 laps before he really started to fall, and that's where Chris Murphy caught him and ended up getting past, and then he started to fall like a brick. If he times that right and can carry that much speed later, earlier in the run, and use them for all they're worth, leave nothing else out there, leave it all out there on the track, I think the 15's got a really good shot at grabbing this W. I think he's just riding right now behind Dohar. He's going to school off of Dohar's line, seeing, maybe even listening a little bit to if he can hear his shift points, and just stay right behind him, because obviously he can get around this place very, very well, and 15 is actually mirroring his times.
Yeah, this is where I'm looking at. These two have separated themselves. They're out 2 seconds over third place. So this is where you could see two different strategies. Brad could come down, get those forward tires and fuel. Dohar could come down, just get the fuel, save 8 seconds on a pit stop, and maybe get away from Brad a little bit. And then by the time Brad works his butt off to get back to Dohar, maybe he's burned his stuff off. That's where I'm like, maybe Dohar could pull that strategy. Or does Dohar try to short pit Brad and say, I know Brad's quick on the fresh tires. Let me go get my fresh tires first, and then I'll go run hard and see if Brad can stick with me. Does Brad then try to counter it before Tyler does that and comes down pit road to get those 4 fresh tires with about 20 laps to go, 25 laps to go, and then run as hard as he can to outbeat Tyler Dohar's pit stop?
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't have said it any better, because we just don't know. But it looks like Dohar's starting to put a little bit of a gap on the 15 of Brad Rivers. So here we are working on lap 133 of 180. I imagine if the 15 is going to come on down, he's probably going to do it within the next
10 laps.
5 laps. Yep, 5 laps.
10 laps.
Yep, and try to see what he can do with Dohar, and I'd be going back to that tire data to see exactly what he had left, and see where he started. Think about where he started to fall off. What lap was it? Do that math in your head. Come on down, hit your marks perfectly. Let that signboard again, land right on the hood. Have the best possible stop. Come on out and really go as hammer down as you can, and let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah, and the benefit for Dohar is he led a lot of laps in the first and second stage. In the early the early parts of the third stage there, Murphy was able to run down Brad after 25 laps. And Murphy and Dohar are in the same channel right now, in the same chat. So Dohar could reach out to Murphy and say, hey, what was your fall off on that 40-lap run that you did before we had the pit stops, or the caution come out where we did the pit stops there? If Murphy gives them that information, maybe then Dohar can look at it and say, all right, well, Murphy was able to run him down. He didn't charge. He didn't do what Brad was doing. Brad burned his stuff off after 25 laps or 27 laps, whatever it was. Maybe I have a chance to come in here and just grab fuel and go and get out to that 8 seconds. He's already up to almost a half-second lead over Brad right now, and you can see Brad is trying to get to him. He's trying to run as hard as he can, and he's just a little slower. He's already used up his stuff, I think. We're 33 laps into this run, and Dohar is running 28.9, so he's a second and a half slower than his best lap, but Brad is running 29.2s, which means he's over 2 seconds, or almost right at 2 seconds.
Yeah, he while he was mirroring Dohar, wasn't able to quite get everything down that the 78 was doing. So it again just goes to show the new confidence that Dohar's got in his brand new equipment. And man, when he got that and got it all set up, he really hit the ground running. And he attributes that a lot to Mike Connie and all the other guys that run with Junior Motorsports that he was part of during the Pro League over on Xbox. Even though all that is said and done, he was able to maintain those relationships with Blake Koch and those guys. And yeah, I think Dohar is really going to be a force to be reckoned with here later in the season. With the strength that he's showing, he's definitely got to be a favorite, or at least a very, very strong candidate for the turn down for what iRacing inaugural next gen series.
Yeah, the guys with multi-wins have not won in several weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, Dohar won 2 straight. Oh, and there's a caution, Pete. This is going to shake it up. It's right at that limit that Brad's been running at 36 laps is what they just ran. We're at 40 laps to go. By the time we go green again, we're going to be looking at 36, 37 by the time they get going again. So that's right at the limit of what Brad just ran. We saw he started to fall off to about a second fall off before or when Dohar just pulled away from him. I'm not seeing anything that should have brought out that caution here, but I'm looking. Oh,
Looks
there it
like
is. Zach Meredith again.
Yeah.
So let me look here. He and Ryan McCall were passing each other. So let me see if I can find it, and we'll see exactly what happened here with the 17 machine.
Oof. He came down to the apron, completely lost the balance, and able to save it for the most part, then just kind of washed up on track and was able to keep it going. Nobody hit him. Good hands by everybody else, but yeah, just lost it coming through the dog leg.
Yeah, that dog leg has been throwing a lot of people for loops tonight. It seems like the cars, once they come down through there, it just bottoms out and just really offsets the car. He tried to hang on to it. He tried to save it, and he kept it off the wall. So that was a good job by him, but that was really some driving to keep that thing from keeping it off the wall.
Absolutely. So it looks like, let's see, survey says Joshua Roberts is going to come out first with a pit time of 1895.
He has not pitted.
And it was still, what's that?
It doesn't show him pitting. He's pitting now.
There we go. Okay, yeah, it was 104. I lost track of the
That's right.
of the pit. Sorry.
I was looking at him like 38 laps. He has not pitted yet.
Yeah. So yep. Tyler Dohar, he's going to come out first. Brad Rivers, P2. Pacey Wygant, P3. Byron Jones, 4th. And Kyle Taub in that KT Designs number 16 will be 5th place.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know what that's going to do. I mean, I'm looking at some of this. Murphy's going to stay out to try to get a lap back, so he's going to go back to 1 lap down. He'll be the first car 1 lap down, so if there is another caution before this thing's over, he should be able to come back out and get back on the lead lap. But if I was Brad, I would do everything possible, whether it's getting close, whether it's bumping, whether it's dooring a little bit of aggressiveness, everything possible to get by Dohar to start this run. We've seen how hard it is to get by guys. I just feel like Brad has been one of the fastest cars in those short runs of 30 or below laps. That's what we're going to have here, 35, maybe 36 to go. When they go green, I would do everything possible to get by Dohar before we get going here. Dohar's been a little bit slower of a starter so that he's had those tires in the long run. Brad's been, quick to get on the pedal and get going and get away from everybody. I think he needs to try to get by Dohar and then maybe try to back it off just a little bit and conserve tire, and then wait for Dohar to try to attack and then have the same amount of rubber that Dohar has.
Yeah, race management is what that's all about right there. So if you can get by the 78, do it, and then let your back bumper move back towards the nose of Dohar. Don't be afraid to back up your corners. If he runs you over, I mean it's a risk that you're going to take. Purposely slowing up to save just a little bit. But at the same time, Dohar does the same thing. Pacey Wygant, he's been charging really hard. That's why he fell back when the 78 and the 15 have been able to take off. Kyle Taub also fell back. Byron Jones fell back. So while these guys all run in the top 5, the top 2 right now, they pulled away. We'll have to see if they can do it again. we're about to go back. Green flag racing. 78's got the entire field in tow. He'll be the first one on that loud pedal, Kurt. Here we go again.
Yeah, the downfall for the 15 is he's going to have to time this, and it doesn't look like he was able to time it. It actually looks like Pacey was able to stick with the 78, and they're in the same chat. So if Dohar told him, I'm going now, Pacey was able to get going. Todd looked like he was going to look 3 wide. This would be the time to do it. As we were talking about earlier, was not the time to do it when Cole Snyder decided to back off and not go 3 wide. Now's the time to do it, but Dohar's just so strong. I mean, he gets away with the restart, and then he just kind of rides. He doesn't really lay down, blistering laps like Brad's trying to lay down, which is why Brad catches back up to him. But I don't think they can get to him and make the pass. Oh, we got another caution out on track. I think that's going to involve Zach Meredith again.
Yeah, Zach really, really struggling in that Bills machine. Let's go back, find out what happened. Ooh.
So as Zach comes down the backstretch here, he goes into the corner. It's that same turn 3 and 4, I think, that's messing him up here.
Yeah, I have to watch that again.
Oh, the 88 got loose. 17 tried to let off a little bit, and then the car just wiggled on him and got loose.
I wonder if there wasn't maybe just I don't know if there was a little bit of net code there or not. But great save again by Bills to steer it left and right. He wasn't just on the brakes. He was steering it away from the wall the entire time, back and forth. Good job by him.
So looking on Mike Allen's car, he tries to go into the corner. He's fine through 3 and 4, or through 3 and 4, sorry. Goes through the finish line. He goes to like he's going to go down the dog leg, stays up. Meredith stays up, and then the car just snaps on him. I don't think there's anything there. I think the car just got snapped on him. It's weird. I mean, I'm going to back it up again here, but I'm not seeing anything that shows any kind of contact between the 88 and 17. The 88 just looks like he just gets loose. There's a little bit of a dip coming out of that corner, and I'm wondering if that's what's throwing people off on the top line. And just like the guys when they go to the apron there, the car bottoms out. And I'm wondering if they're coming through that corner, what would essentially be the long end of turn 4, I guess. But as you come through there, there's a little bit of a dip in the track, and I'm wondering if that's kind of, offsetting the tires or something. And I mean, you could see it in the 88. As soon as you get into that dip, it just shook the rear end to the right.
Yeah, we're looking at 2 different replays from SDK, but hey, each replay absolutely different. I'll have to send it to you, or maybe when it's all said and done, you can go back and watch it. But either way, great save by the 17, keeping it off the wall, and a lot of good hands moments for the people that got around him in the replay that I saw.
Yeah, we're gonna have 32 to go now. Dohar and Pacey Wygen is now up on the front row, so Brad's gonna be able to start behind Dohar. That should help him with the launch as soon as he feels like Dohar's gonna go. But like I said, Dohar and Wygen are in the team chat together, so if Dohar aligns with Pacey and says, hey, I'm going now, that will at least allow Pacey to stick with Brad, and maybe fend off Brad a little bit from Dohar. But I don't know if those two are going to work together like that with only 30 laps to go here.
Well, lights atop the pace car are still on, coming across the start stripe to start lap 149, or actually 150 rather. So 30 more laps to go, and it's going to be all again about when Dohar gets that jump, and if the 15, if he stays right on the back bumper of that 78, he might have a shot. Pacey Wygen did a great job at picking up the start last time from Dohar. Not quite sure if he's looking out his driver's side window or not, but Pace car is off. We're going to go back green. Will this be the last green flag? We'll have to find out.
If I was Brad, I would try to time this.
Yep, I'd be all
I
over the
would-
back end
yeah.
of that 78.
Even if I had to sit back a little bit and just try to time it. Just go and hope that the 78 goes. That way he could stick right to his back bumper
There he goes.
and carry the momentum.
Right on the bumper. Yep.
Well, he tried to time it a little bit, maybe timed it a little too early and had to back off. But we'll see if he gets going here. Pacey's got a good group on the outside going. Brad sliding up the track just a little bit, stays low. Pacey all over the back bumper of the 78 as they come through that turn 2. Pacey's going to have second place if he can get down in front of Brad. He's going to swing it in and makes the pass completed for second place. Now he's got to try to run down that 78. These two have won the last 2 races and turned down for what? So, see if we have another multi-winner here, Pete.
I tell you what, I'm very, very impressed with the way Pacey made that stick. I would imagine there was just a slight tap of the brake in order to get that thing to set and complete the pass. But yeah, now the 15 back in third. Pacey's just going to keep him pinched down. So now the 15 can't get into the throttle when he really needs to allow that thing to go ahead and point up towards that wall and then drive off. Byron Jones also going all the way down on the dog leg, and they are side by side for the next 2 rows behind Dohar. He's got to absolutely be loving what he's seeing, because as long as those guys are all fighting and he's hitting his marks, running it the best laps that he can, he's just going to pull away just like he did before. But this time, Brad Rivers will not be on his back bumper.
Yeah, and I've got to point out somebody else that we haven't seen very much tonight, other than when he tapped the inside wall there. Nate Lehman in the 14 has climbed all the way back up to 4th place, and he is coming. He's making some really good lap times back there. I'm looking at his lap times compared to everybody else's, and he's right there with everybody that's in front of him. He's moved up in the top 4. He's all over the back bumper of Pacey Wygen as Brad Rivers has moved back into 2nd place. But we've seen Brad be really fast on these short runs, and then he starts falling off right around 20 laps, 25 laps, and this is going to be a 30-lap run here, Pete, and we've got 26 to go. Is he going out too hard right now, or should he be trying to back it off and just try to stay with Dohar and not, burn those tires off like he has? Or is this his opportunity to go and get in front of him?
No, I think right now Dohar is just saying, okay, come and get me. So he's playing a little bit of race management, backing it off and then getting back on the throttle again, backing it off, getting back on the throttle again. I don't think Dohar is really running as strong as he could right now. He's allowing the 15 to run up and try to catch him. And I don't think the 15 is going to get by, though. Dohar is protecting that bottom line, or the preferred groove all the way around here. The 15 is going to have to fight hard and really try to catch Dohar unaware if he's going to have any shot at seeing a little bit of clean air on the hood of that raised 15.
Yeah, the 15's only slightly faster than the 78. I mean, he's maybe 2 to 3 100ths faster each lap here. So he's not making up a terrible amount, but how much is it hurting his tires by doing what he's doing to try to stick with Dohar, who's just really, he's really easing it through the corners and getting back into the gas and conserving. But like you said, he's not really sticking to the bottom. He's kind of staying on that seam and then floats it out and diamonds it back down off the corner.
Yeah, 2 very, very different lines. Dohar now he's kind of washing up just a little bit. 15 kind of followed him up there. Either that or it's just dirty air that is being dumped on the nose of that Mustang GT. And as these two start to pull away again, Pacey and Nate Lehman right now battling for P number 4. Kyle Taub back in P5, down 3 places from where he started, but nice little gaggle of cars, 14-00-16 in that deuce.
Yeah, and I think Nate's, he's making up a lot of ground here. He's up to 3rd. He's made the pass on Pacey. The question is can Nate get to Brad, and will a caution come out to help Nate get closer to Dohar? And then what happens when that restart happens? Does Nate become the biggest challenger to Dohar if he can get to him? I feel like Nate's been hard charging, so I don't know if this is really going to help him in the long run, or if he's just found something and it's not hurting his tires as much, but he looks like he's running the same way Brad did, where he was all out, trying to catch Dohar and trying to go with Dohar. And we've already seen now Brad down to about a second off of the 78. So something happened there where he slid off, but we're looking at 20 laps on this run, and this is where we were talking about. Even though we had those caution laps, 20 to 25 laps is where Brad was fastest below those numbers. Anything over that, he just started falling down the line, and here we are. He's already back to 8/10.
Yeah, and that 14 is absolutely gaining, using just a little bit of draft that he can on the straightaways, and then trying to find a little bit of clean air in the corners. Meanwhile, Pacey Wygen, he's starting to pull away from the 16 just a little bit as the 16 goes on down and cuts the dog leg. They're both kind of leaving the two Byron Jones behind, all to his own devices, sitting back there in P6. Jeff Lednam right now, P7. Ryan McCall, who was very, very strong in that 48 earlier, P8. Josh Roberts, P9. And Zach Meredith. I tell you what, you got to give credit where it's due. With all the issues he's had in that Bills machine tonight, right now rounding out the top 10 with John Osborne right behind him.
Yeah, I'm looking at the lap times. Brad just ran the fastest lap there between these top guys. Lehman was about 2/10 slower, and so was Dohar. So Brad's starting to close it back in. He's back down to about, actually it's saying he's about a second and a half slower, which, nope, there it is, half second. So now he's back down to a half second behind Dohar. The question is can he get to him, and will he have enough tire left to be able to make the pass? With 17 laps to go, Pete, I just think this is in Dohar's hands because we all know Dohar does not really show his cards. So is he kind of playing possum and letting Brad get back to him and just conserving tire so that when Brad does get to him, he can't get around him because he's got enough rubber left on his tires to really make some laps and keep Brad behind him?
Oh yeah, I mean, what's one of the things you do when you start to realize you're reeling somebody in? You try to push just a little bit harder to get there faster, lead A or lead the most laps if the situation is right. But no, we're talking about 16 laps to go. He sees the 78 coming back to him. He's going to push a little bit harder. Meanwhile, Dohar, he's running the same exact way that he was before. Maybe backing up his corners, saving a little bit of tire, making sure that he takes care of that right front, maybe drive a little bit more off the right rear. With the Fanatec equipment that he's got, he's able to make more in-car adjustments than some other people can. It's just the way that you can map it all out. So Dohar, I think he's backing himself up to the 15 and just making sure that he's got enough to push it when he really needs to. When we get to about 2, maybe 3 laps to go. I think that's how long it's going to take for the 15 to get up there if he doesn't burn his stuff up between now and then.
Yeah, I'm trying to pay attention to the 15's entry. He looks like he's really deep diving it into the corner, and you see him slide up the track after he goes into the corner. He's starting to figure it out a little bit better where he's holding the bottom line and he's not sliding up as much. And he's actually gaining even more on Dohar. He just ran about a 10th faster than Dohar that lap there, but the previous 2 laps he slid up the track. So he might have found something right here where maybe it's his let off point, maybe he's stabbing that brake a little bit to help himself rotate through the corner, but it's definitely helping him. So he's getting to Dohar. I don't think he's able to make the pass. Now Brad's a little more of an aggressive driver and a little bit of I don't really care who's in front of me, that old kind of Dale Senior persona of I don't really care who's in front of me. I'm going for this win. So Brad does not have a win. I don't think Brad will qualify for the playoffs. Even if he does get a win, he's just trophy hunting right now. But a win's a win. So does he maybe give a bump to Dohar, who's won already twice?
I don't know. We'll have to see or ask him if this is the way that our podium finished it out. Dohar, Rivers, and Lehman. Lehman now about 1.5 behind Dohar and still making up a little bit of time. I just watched him go from 1.6 down to 1.45. So Nate Lehman making up a little bit of time. Meanwhile, Brad Rivers, that was just 3 or 4 tenths behind the 78, now falling back tremendously Not quite sure what happened with the 15. I was looking at the times versus the cars on track. Dohar's just pulled away huge.
Yeah, the 15 had a mistake coming to the dog leg. He got a little loose in the dog leg. He actually went all the way down and clipped the cone that comes out of the pit road there. But he was able to hang on to the car, and that allowed Nate Lehman to close into the back of him. But now here comes Brad again. He slipped back to about a 1.4 seconds. He's closed back into about an 8 to 9 tenths range. So, I mean, he continuously is hard charging up to Dohar. And I think that's what Dohar's probably smiling about is Brad's having to hard charge to him, and then he makes a mistake and slips back. And Dohar's just sitting here on a Sunday drive waiting for this race to be over with 9 laps to go. And every time he sees that black and yellow car get closer and closer to his mirror, he makes a mistake. So Dohar can just sit here and run.
I tell you what, I mean, that 15, he might have a little bit of here, kitty, going on right now, but all he's going to find when he gets up to that 78 is catnip. It's not going to be anything else. No treats for him whatsoever. I think Dohar, he is just conserving his tire. Just from watching him through the Filter Time eSpark Xfinity Series, and going back through console and here on iRacing, spotting for him during several different races, and the Shake and Bake series. This guy, he has become very, very good at watching others doing what they did when it comes to being able to take care of their equipment. He knows how to get into the corner, knows how to get off the corner, what his throttle points are, where he might have to tab the brake, where he needs to downshift, if he has to downshift, if he's not staying in fourth, as you said earlier. With 6 laps to go, I think Dohar has punched his next win.
Yeah, and I think that's what Brad is trying to do, is get to him as quickly as possible. And with Dohar maybe running a little easier and just kind of being smooth, I mean, he's consistently running the same exact line through every single turn. He doesn't look like he's really off the line that he's run for 20 laps. So Brad's able to close the gap because of that. But Dohar, like I said, he's just smiling in the mirror at him because Brad's doing everything possible to get to him, and then makes a mistake because his tires are getting worn out. And Dohar's just sitting here just rolling around. And we've got 5 laps to go in this Phoenix race tonight for Turn Down for What's Next Gen Series, race number 9. You can catch it, obviously, on Twitch, Facebook. I've got it on YouTube tonight as well, plus out on the Roku channel that we're streaming to live right now out on Roku TV. If you've got that Roku stick or you've got a TV with the Roku app on it, go out there and download that Sim Racing channel, and then go and find any kind of content you would like to watch between Pete, myself, Atlanta, Rick James, SBRN, Pajnowski. I mean, there's so many different people out there that are all over this thing, but you could watch 24/7 and probably still not watch all the content that's out there, including the podcast and other things, and the past races that have been done for the Sim Racing channel that, Pete, you've done several of them. But I would also like to point out that Brad Rivers has started to slip down this field because Kyle Taub just made a huge move to go right around Brad Rivers, and now Nate Lehman is looking to take away third as well, and I think Brad Rivers has used up every bit of his tire speed.
Yeah, Brad, he was trying all he could. And I think it might go back to what I mentioned a little bit ago. He saw Dohar coming back to him. He's watching the timesheet on his with his tools, and pushed just a little bit harder, and in the end just did not have the tire to get up there. But still, you can't take anything from him. He's been bat fast in that Raise Energy machine all night long. Just doesn't quite have the long run speed.
And we're on the final lap here as we come through turns 1 and 2. Dohar staying right on that seam that he's been staying on. He floats up just a little bit, but he's staying right in that same groove that he's been on for 20-25 laps now. And it has been a smooth sailing cruise voyage for Tyler Dohar through this race. And we're coming into the final turns here. And Tyler Dohar in his Filter Time 78 machine is going to collect his 3rd win of the season for Turn Down for What's Next Gen Series. Race number 9 in the books with the 78 of Tyler Dohar winning this race. Pete, I feel like Tyler is going to be very excited when he comes into this booth, and I feel like Kyle Taub also, because he's gotten to a big points lead with the regular season points, and he still doesn't even have a win, but he's just been so fast and so consistently finishing in the top 5 that he's gained so many points on everybody with his stage points and everything else. So I feel like all these guys are going to come in here and be super excited, but we're going to throw it into the winning burnout break here and come on back to Burnout Lane with the top 3, Pete.
Yeah, Dohar has absolutely earned this smoke show. Come on. Dohar, go ahead and burn it down.
All right, welcome back to Turn Down for What's Next Gen race tonight at Phoenix. KS Gaming Broadcasting bringing you Burnout Lane with the top 3 coming up into the booth. We got tonight's winner, Tyler Dohar in the 78 Filter Time Machine. Myself and Pete, we looked at him as being one of the contenders here. I was kind of hoping Byron would be able to get up here, but Tyler Dohar just dominant through this race, leading the most laps and just, I mean, on rails, Tyler. You got a copy, buddy?
Yeah, man, got a copy.
All right. For somebody that said he was, dog crap at this track about 10 laps before the practice was over, you pretty much just dominated this race from the start. You looked really, really fast all the way through. You won stage 2. I believe I think won stage 1 as well, based on where the cautions were falling there. We were a little confused on if they were the end of the stage or not, but if I'm not mistaken. And then just the third stage, I mean, you kind of played it kind of as the cautions fell. You were able to get through certain positions. You guys pitted in certain spots. And then you just come out and roll through this thing and take the victory.
Yeah, I mean, our fifth time Chevy was really, really strong. Just mostly needed the long runs. We didn't end up getting the stage 1 victory. We got second. Cole got it.
Oh, that's right.
When the caution fell, they kind of just that's where they ended the stage, which was the right move. And then Cole had a really fast car. I would have been interested to see if he could have stayed in the race all the way. But when the caution came out, the pace car was supposed to get ahead of the field, and Cole kept going. So he missed pit in on the first time, and that's why like Kyle and I and Bradley were able to kind of cycle ahead of him, and he was kind of stuck at the back, and then got involved in an accident early on. But I mean, our car was really good. We just didn't have the short run speed that I wanted, but it was really just about taking care of the tires, trying to nurse the right rear as much as possible. I was adjusting my brake bias darn near every corner just based on what the car was telling me. Bradley really, I was getting worried there because he was starting to run me down, but I knew he kept going to the well too much with the dog leg and ended up biting him a couple times when we were battling there. But he kept me on my toes. I overdrove it a little bit, trying to keep him behind me and trying to take his line a little bit more so than run mine. So I know he fell off pretty bad there at the end. Don't know if he ran into some trouble or just overextended his right rear, but we were just able to kind of put it on cruise control once he fell about a second back. I just really took it easy. Started using the dog leg there because I only saved it in case there was a caution. I didn't want to pit and put myself at risk. I just wanted to, if it was a late caution, try to do it on old tires. I felt we were good enough on the first 2 laps of a run to hold on. But, honestly, just kind of fell in our favor a little bit. We really weren't that good at the beginning of practice. Did a mock Q run and started finding some things. Honestly, I just ran 5th gear the whole time, Swats, to be honest with you. I didn't leave 5th gear except for restarts. Just too much wheel spin for me off the corners to be able to plant the throttle how I wanted. So like in the first run, I'd let those guys kind of get out ahead of me, like McCall and Cole and Kyle, and I was comparing myself to Kyle when we were coming off, especially turn 4. After about 5 or 6 laps, I could get to the throttle a little bit sooner and commit to it a little bit more fully than he could. So I felt like I had the good strategy in mind to kind of just run 5th gear and sacrifice a little bit of short run and hot lap speed to be able to save the right rear so that way I could run, 20, 30 lap runs that we had. Really wanted to get a green flag pit stop in because I felt like we could have really excelled there, but hey, we'll take it how it comes. And honestly, it's just great to get some more playoff points. We had to miss last week due to a family issue at the last moment, but hey, just glad we're here.
Oh, you talked about a little bit about saving the tires on that last restart. The 15 was really close to you, and then he fell back, and then he started coming back to you again. How much of that was tire preservation on your side versus him just trying to, as you said, dig a little bit more, trying to catch back up to you? And if he had gotten around you, would you have had enough car to pass him back?
It would have been interesting to see, Pete. At the beginning of the run, probably the first 3 or 4 laps were the hardest I drove because I knew Pacey had a really fast car on the short run, and I knew Bradley was right there too, and I needed to stay in front of him. Track position was king. If I could, even though Dirty Air's not that big here, it's just enough to where if I can keep them behind me long enough, it'll help accelerate their tire wear. It'll force their right front off a little bit more, and they'll have to lean on the right rear even more so and overextend it. So he got close to me there in the middle of the run. I think if he had gotten by me, I could have, and if I stayed disciplined, I think I could have gotten back to him because we had that long run in the middle there at the beginning of this 3rd stage where we were able to track him down in the 48 where before that caution came out. So I think I had a shot at it. Obviously it's going to be way different to tell because the Dirty Air could affect my car and make it a little bit more tighter too. But it was great battling with him. Just it was kind of who could push it at the right time and who could save it at the right time.
There you go. Back to you, Swats.
Well, Tyler, it's your 3rd win. You move up into the top 6 in points. You're going to be tied with Chris Murphy, and I think there's some other points that will be coming on there. But a great run here in the last 6 weeks. Unfortunately, you had to miss last week, or we could be looking at maybe 6-7 weeks straight of you winning some races here. But we've got one more race coming up, and that's going to be Las Vegas. Sorry. I really like Las Vegas. I think it's an easy track to kind of figure out. So you said you were trying to gain as many playoff points as you could. You gained a lot tonight, and you're closing in on the guys at the front. But Tom's out there by a lot. Right now, looking at the point totals, if the points are correct, minus or plus some points here and there for maybe the pole or most laps or whatever. But he's out almost 60 points or 61 points on you. So I mean, it's going to take a bit to get him in this last race, but I think you're setting yourself up for the playoffs pretty well. You said you weren't really looking forward to the first 3 races of the playoffs. You were looking to hopefully get to Kansas and build those playoff points to help you to get closer to that time period to have a chance. Are you going to start practicing for the playoffs now with 1 race left, or are you just going to focus 1 race at a time?
I think you got to go 1 race at a time at this point. I mean, Kyle's way too far out ahead to do anything, and even if we had made the race last week, he's way too far out ahead for us to do anything for the regular season title. But we just need to position ourselves as best as we can to get the bonus points from the regular season. Having 3 wins helps. Having some stage wins helps. That kind of cuts the deficit to Kyle. Because if you look at it, you get 3 races, opportunity for 3 different winners, top guy in points, then goes on to be the 4th. So, assuming that not all goes well at Montreal, Dega, and whatever the 3rd track is, I don't know at this moment, but
Charlotte.
that's kind of you kind of have it. What?
Charlotte.
You got to have a contingency plan. I mean, Charlotte's going to probably be my strongest, so we'll see. But I mean, really, it's just putting the playoff points in the bank and trying to have ourselves situated. So we're going for broke at Vegas. We're going to try to, get all 7s and try to sweep the stages and really and take the bonus point lead when the reset occurs. So that way we're just in the best position possible because this league's too competitive to, not have that at any advantage you can take. So, we got to take all we can. Shout out to Blake Cook, Filter Time, those guys, EPI, Tyler Payne, Michael Conti. Those guys for supporting me. My girlfriend Caitlin, I know she's watching over in the bedroom. Thank you for supporting me, honey. So just really blessed to be here. Glad to be a part of it, and can't wait to go out of Vegas next week.
All right, Pete. Well, he took away your last question there as he did all of his run through of sponsors, friends, and family. But
sorry, back to you, Pete.
He took away your question, but yeah, we're gonna roll through here. And Tyler, like I said, congratulations on the 3rd victory. Definitely a big head of steam at the last several weeks. And with 1 week to go before we start these playoffs, you're looking to be one of the guys who are going to be looking at the top spot here, or at least the top focus for going into the playoffs to see who can come out as the champion of the first season of Next Gen with Turn Down for What. So congratulations again.
Thanks, man. I got to thank Pete for, putting on the Shake and Bake series. You guys both for putting this on. Shake and Bake has kind of gotten me ready in these Next Gens, because a lot of duplicate tracks. So that's definitely a reason why we're just seeing a lot of good consistency on our side.
Well, Pete, we're going to take it down to 2nd place, and that would be the points leader, who's out by about 60 points right now, and that would be that 16 KT Design, Kyle Taub. Go ahead, Pete.
Kyle Taub, it's repeat, bud. You got a copy in that number 16.
Yeah, I got you, Pete.
All right, Kyle, you finished right where you qualified, going to show that your practice speed, your qualifying speed, and everything else was no fluke whatsoever. Definitely shows that you know how to get around Phoenix International Raceway. Saw you a little bit further in the back. Saw you, for the most part, battling within the top 5 during the second half of the race. Dohar, Brad Rivers, Nate Lehman, maybe even you definitely got to consider the 48 of Ryan McCall and Byron Jones with Pacey Wygant for top speed. And that's really the top 7 for almost all night long. What did you have that you were able to rely on, and what more did you need to dig just a little bit more?
Well, going through practice in most of the race, when it came to tire wear, and comparing it with my teammates and some other people I talked to pre-race, I was getting anywhere from 6% to 10% better tire wear throughout the run than most other people, which was a great thing for the long run, but sadly tonight we never got one long enough for it to really count. As far as what else I needed to do tonight, that last restart that we had off of not really worn tires, but tires that had gone through a heat cycle. If I'd gotten on that restart a little bit better, I might have had something for Dohar.
Well, Taub, I mean, you were definitely one of the faster cars at the end of the race. You made your way up into 2nd place. Lehman had obviously gone around you, gone around Brad, and then you guys were all battling right there for third, or second, third, and fourth. But you made your way through those two. It looked like maybe Nate was charging a little hard to try to get up there. Brad was definitely charging hard to try to keep up with Dohar. But I mean, like you said, you had one of the best tire saving within your group and the guys that you had talked to. Um, I mean, I can't say coming home second is anything shy of good because I mean you're going to continue or extend your lead on the points now. I think you're going up by at least 20 something points, 24 right now. So Jose did not have a good race. Obviously, he had some issues and slipped back through the field. So that's going to extend your lead here with one race to go. You're going to have a 24-point lead going into that final race to clinch the regular season. Does that really stand out to you as something you really want, or does the overall championship matter more than caring about this regular season? Is it just making to the playoffs and then really buckling down there? As I mean, you've been super consistent, collecting a ton of bonus points, ton of stage points, and your average finish is sixth. So, I mean, you've got the best average finish, you've got the best average start for most of the top 10, and I mean, like I said, you have the most bonus points.
Yeah, I mean the overarching championship, definitely that's the goal from race one to the final race of the season. But the regular season points championship didn't really cross my mind until race 3, 4, when I did have that lead. But I mean, in other leagues that have stages, I've been really bad at getting stage points, and I put an emphasis going into this season to maximize stage points any way I could, and it's clearly paid off.
Well, I definitely absolutely agree with you there. Like I said, you've got 32 as of now, which is the most. Tyler Dohar's got 28. So, but over second place, you've got him by 11 bonus points there over Jose. But you do not have the win. So, going into next week's race, are you going to be focused on that win, or are you just going to be focused on like what you've been doing all season, with just gathering as many points as possible, whether that's winning or not?
Going into next week with the points lead that I have now, for the regular season championship, it's going to be more of just keeping the car safe first and foremost, just to lock in that regular season championship. But I mean, if I got a chance to win there at the end, I'm going for it.
I'm talking about going for it, man. Great job here. Locking down P2. Great points tonight for you. Like Swats was just saying. Talking about going for it next week, are you a road ace, or you kind of maybe second guessing that just a little bit?
Repeat the question, Pete, please.
Going to Montreal. Are you a bit of a road ringer, or is it going to take a little bit of practice for you?
I mean, my results in this league at road courses in previous starts should speak for themselves at this point. But
You're right. Forgot about the Indy road course. You're right.
I mean, practice is always going to help. At the moment, I believe there was talks about it possibly not being Montreal, but regardless of what it is, I fully expect myself to be up front that whole race.
All right, Kyle. Well, we appreciate you coming up into the booth. You got any last shout-outs here?
Yeah. Shout out to my teammates at CCR. Peach DNF'd quick tonight, which was a bummer, and Zach didn't have the greatest race. And then shout out to CDR, Griff, and Cole for showing up. Apologies to Cole. I caused the incident that took him out of the race, but shout out to you guys, Swats, Pete, for putting the broadcast on, and thank you to Mike and Griff for making this Next Gen Series run.
Well, we definitely appreciate all that, and we'll see what you can do next week at Las Vegas.
Thank you, Kurt.
All right, we're going to bring up that one and only guy with a great little amazing mustache that I found out this past weekend. I actually thought he was older by talking to him here on the Discord. When I saw him in person, I was like, I thought you were much older than what you're looking like here, but that would be the one and only teacher that we know and love, Nate Lehman, coming in third tonight. Nate, you got a copy?
I sure do, Kurt.
All right, Nate. It was fun getting to meet you and hang out with all the guys at Bristol this past weekend, but Phoenix is not Bristol, and it was definitely a fun race. I had kind of pointed out that you got into a little bit of an incident there early on in the race, kind of like you did last week's race, where you spun the tires out of pit road and dumped it into the inside wall there, and was able to come all the way back through the field and have a great finish for you with having that incident. And tonight, you had again an incident with hitting the inside wall and come all the way back to third. How do you keep repeating this incident of hitting the inside wall and then coming back through the field? And is that the downfall that's keeping you from getting that first win this season?
Well, it definitely doesn't help for sure. But yeah, after that little bit of contact in stage one, we missed out on some really crucial stage points that we needed to get up inside that top 10 in points. So I knew, we had to be patient moving forward since we were going to be restarting in the back of the pack. Missed a few more accidents back there, and just patience was the name of the game tonight. I think we've had better cars than what our results have shown recently. So I'm okay flying under the radar, being a little bit of a dark horse here, entering Vegas. Really needed to just trim that lead down from Murphy and McCall and Jones. And we accomplished that tonight. We got it within, I think it's going to be 2 points by the time we give award stage points here, but I think we're 2 points outside the top 10. But anything can happen at Vegas. We need to not start behind the 8 ball like we have the past couple weeks here. We need to have a solid start, get some stage points, and cap off a good result.
Nate, and for that last restart, you started, if I'm not mistaken, P number 6 on the outside, and you were able to really claw your way up to P3. Brad Rivers back there to P4. Was there a time during the race where you're like, man, this is not gonna work? I'm not. I don't know if you consider yourself very good here at Phoenix, or was this kind of a lucky finish for you? What do you think about Phoenix as or your performance overall tonight?
Well, I personally love Phoenix. I think we had some really good long run speed. Obviously not there at the end on that on that restart because I was pushing as hard as I could, man, trying to pick up a few spots in case we got another yellow, which was kind of the trend tonight. I wanted to be as close to Dohar as I could to come down and get fresh tires, but just I wouldn't say we kind of counted ourselves out, but once you get stuck back there in traffic at Phoenix, man, it is uphill skiing. It's hard to get past some of those guys, and not a whole lot of passing opportunities. You got to wait for guys to kind of slip up the racetrack and make a mistake, and that's really just all we did was remain patient and get them one at a time.
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very wide track with a one single groove. That's why they were laying down that PJ. Well, I forget what PJ 7. Or, yeah, there you go, PB and J. A few years back, all the way up by the wall along the High Line. But man, great finish for you tonight, sir.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Swats.
All right. Yeah, we're gonna end this thing off here, Griff. But do you have any shout outs?
Oh, I do. I want to thank my smoking hot wife for supporting me, let me do this every Tuesday. Let me fly out to Bristol, which was awesome. Get to see the race out there for the first time. And then obviously my CDR teammates, Kyle, working with him a lot tonight, Billy, and just everybody that I was running around. Rivers, Byron Jones, just about everybody out there. Was pretty clean for the most part. So. Appreciate everybody, and obviously shout out to Dohar for capping off the win.
All right, Pete, we're going to wrap up race number 9 here and turn down for one race to go before the end of the regular season. Then we got 4 races to go in the playoffs before we crown a champion here. Definitely looking forward to next week's race at Vegas. I know you like Vegas. I like Vegas. It's a track that I think is kind of a driver's track. You got to pick and choose where you're going to go. The speed in the draft does help. But the side-by-side racing really hinders the cars and allows the car in front of them, if they're single file, to really pull away if you get double file. Just like when we head into the playoffs and head to Charlotte, the double wide racing there really slows these cars down and allows that front car, that if it's single file, to really pull away from the two cars that are side by side. So looking forward to the action that we've got coming up here. Any last words from your side?
Definitely a lot of fun tonight. I'd like to say I'm surprised to see Dohar up there, but with the streak he's been on and the his luck bank, I think, has probably been filled back up. Maybe found a horseshoe that hadn't quite been tipped over yet. But then again, that new equipment that he's found to really fit his driving style and help immerse himself into that driver's seat. Great job by him. A lot of these guys are really going to have to lay down some extra laps during the week and weeks that we've got coming up if they're going to do anything with that 78. I appreciate you having me up here one more time, Kurt. Getting closer and closer to that end, ready to crown a champion.
Yeah, I think the 78 is definitely going to be a challenge for a lot of the drivers in the playoffs, but I'm looking at a lot of different people in the playoffs. I mean, Kyle Taub, 0 wins, but he has pointed his way to a 24-point lead over the rest of the field. Pacey's been coming on strong. He's had some really good runs. Nate, even though the results may not show it the last 10 week or 9 weeks that we've been running, these last few weeks he's had some adversity happen, and he just comes just chewing through the field to get back up to the top podium spots as he is here now tonight. And I feel like there's a few others out there. Chris Murphy has been running well. He's been leading laps. He's still in this. Jose Ruiz did not have a good night tonight, but he's been also very consistent. That's why he's sitting second in the points. Zach Meredith has 2 wins. He's been very, very fast. Tonight did not have any luck with getting off onto the dog leg because he spun there multiple times. But there's no dog leg to worry about when we go to Las Vegas. There's no dog leg to worry about when we go to Charlotte. Talladega's coming. He's one of the faster guys at Talladega. The whole group that he runs with is super fast at the super speedways. They've won almost every single super speedway that turned down for what has done in 6 seasons. His group has had a winner from they're at those tracks. So could it be him? Could it be Cole Snyder that comes up? He's won multiple times at super speedways. He's been winning at Talladega and Daytona repeatedly in both series. Then you've got, I mean, there's so many different drivers. Hunter Peach won Daytona earlier this season, and next gen, does he come back and get another super speedway win? There's so many drivers that could still lock into this playoff with one race to go at Las Vegas, and then to get into that playoff. It's going to be very hard to really walk away with this thing, I feel like. And I'm kind of excited to see what happens here for the last race, and then really excited to see what goes on throughout these 4 weeks. Excited to bring it to the Sim Racing channel every Tuesday night for Turn Down for What. Thanks to Papa for putting on the season and allowing us to come up into the booth. And I really appreciate you always coming up into the booth with me. It's always a pleasure to have you in the booth. It's a fun night anytime you're in the booth with me. And I'm really excited to see what this season kind of turns out to be at the end of it. And if everybody enjoys what they're seeing, make sure you tune in. Like I said, Pete's got Sunday nights for Turn Down for What. He's got ARCs on Saturdays. He's got Monday for Shake and Bake. I don't have anything on Mondays anymore. And Tuesdays will be Turn Down for What for Next Gen. And then we've got possibly SRN coming up on Thursdays. And I've got another league looking at another night, Mondays or something like that, in a few weeks. So good luck and enjoy your, I guess, rest of your night, or getting close to midnight here. So good luck, and we'll see you guys over the next couple of days on different channels.